Until proven otherwise, I'm sorry, Lawrence.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Baylor has led most of the way. Butler off the window, and it goes.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
You heard some highlights of yet another Pro Football Hall of Fame player, member, who will be a part of SicEm365 Radio today, Steve Largent. And I have to give Jerry Rome an assist. We had him on, remember, last week, the former and longtime NFL player and coach, played at Tulsa. Jerry Rome gave me Steve Largent's number. And I had a number, but it was the wrong one because they changed, people change their numbers all the time. Steve Largent, the Pro Football Hall of Fame wide receiver, and his story about that workout with Seattle, have that today at 3:10. Also, how about Jared Butler, guys? Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina joins us on SicEm365 Radio. We will also hear from coaches from Robinson and China Spring today. We'll have John McClain, David Hellman. Some of the times in the 5 o'clock hour are kind of mixed up today. Jared Butler at 5:15. We'll replay Dave Aranda's one-on-one from yesterday, today at 4:20. Mac Rhodes is going to be Thursday. And we have a couple of mega names that we're going to unleash with you this week on SicEm365 Radio. Jared Butler, appointed to the NCAA Men's Basketball Oversight Committee. This is a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know too much about, what goes into this and all of that, but just seeing Jared Butler appointed NCAA, I'm like, whoa, that's pretty big news. So, yeah, obviously some people think very highly of Jared Butler, and rightfully so, and what an honor for that young man today.
Yeah, and he's someone who I think would kind of grab opportunities like this with open arms, and he's such a deep thinker and looks at things from all angles. I'm not surprised that he would take on a challenge like this to look at issues from the eyes of a student athlete.
Well, and he mentions in this part of the press release, this is immediately begin to serve as a student athlete representative on the committee running through June 30th of 2022. Now, Jared could leave and end up being a part of the NBA, and he almost did this past offseason. 12 voting members, 4 non-voting members. This is about making decisions that affect Division I men's basketball. And he's a part of it, and there's a handful of players, but there's also coaches that are from various levels of Division I college basketball. It's conference commissioners.
Well, I mean, the committee is 7 athletic directors, 2 commissioners, 2 deputy AC or associate conference commissioners, 2 head coaches, couple of other representatives, and then there's 2 student athletes, and Butler's one of those. And the only other one is Malcolm Wilson of Georgetown. So, yeah, you've got a group of a lot of different prominent people or people with power, and then you got a couple of players with voices. And for Jared Butler to be one of those, only 2 in all of college basketball, 2 of the voices that they chose, I think is just an incredible honor. So, it'll be interesting to see what kind of input he has and what kind of things that he sees from a player's perspective that he can pass along to these non-playing members who then, go about making rules and changes and things like that. So he has a unique perspective, and I think it's great anytime you see somebody from your university go and have, an honor like this. So great for Baylor men's basketball, and particularly for Jared Butler.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have him today, and he'll discuss that with us, practicing right now. We'll have him today at 5:15. The game on Saturday between Crawford and Bruceville, Eddie, Crawford won the game. It was a pretty tight game. Crawford pulled away with 25 second-half points. We had Greg Jacobs on the show, Crawford head coach, yesterday. But in that game, there was the story, and it's turned out to be very, very fortunate and very good news. Ty Torbert of Crawford, remember they played at noon in Robinson because the field conditions moved the game to a Friday. Ty Torbert had, at one point, a 106 core temperature.
Whoa.
It was obviously a frightening moment. I think maybe at one point he might have been all but gone. But I talked to Greg Jacobs a little bit about this today. They got right on him. He basically was dehydrated and just was, ambulance immediately got him to the hospital, which is just around the corner. And he was actually attended school today. He's a little bit weak and also has, was kind of just wobbly. He's not going to be able to play for quite a while. But that could have been a tragedy. Coach Jacobs said it was a scare. His vitals are now okay. He'll be out quite a while. But he mentioned his core temperature was 106 at one point. So great news on Ty Torbert as they were playing at 12 o'clock. It was hot and humid. It was very humid, massive humidity. And he's okay. At least he's survived, and now at school, and it'll be just, again, a little while before he plays again.
Yeah, I'm sure you got a couple of those rapid dose IVs to get him hydrated and back down to normal. And, man, that's great that he's doing better because that's super scary.
Yeah, that's accounts for a couple of deaths a year, it feels like, in sports, especially the high school level, just the heat and how the body reacts to it and things like that. So, yeah, that could have been a much more terrible ending. Thankfully, it's not. I remember Patrick Hudson, the former Texas offensive lineman, a couple years back. He had a big scare, because of heat exhaustion, and had to, basically miss a lot of time. And I don't think he ever quite even fully recovered from that. But he had a lot of other things that were going on as well. But yeah, that's a scary deal, and fortunately, it turned out okay.
All right, and a couple other things. I saw Matt Stepp, who does a great job with Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine. Santo, which is on the fringe of our area. Oh, I don't know. We could be talking about high schools in L.A., too, as far as our signal's concerned online as well. Their game against Itasca, the Wampus Cats, was canceled. Now, Santo will play Cumbie. Now, Cumbie's in East Texas, I think somewhere in the northeast part of East Texas on Thursday in Rio Vista. Also, there's going to be a few of these. The Tatum game against Pittsburgh canceled. And most likely, Tatum will also not play a game against Hughes Springs, the Mustangs, the following week. So there's still a little bit of that IV drip of that, speaking of the IV drip. Rice postponed games on 10-3 and 10-10 against Marshall and UAB, and will determine at a later date if they'll reschedule the games. The first game for Rice will not be, and they will not really start practicing until September, is now October 24th. Against Middle Tennessee State. Isn't that who somebody just hammered? Was it Army?
Yeah, Army did.
Now, speaking of Army, how about they looked impressive? Navy was destroyed by Brigham Young. It was never a game at 55-3. That was shocking to me.
Yeah. A lot of people made a big deal about the and it was cool. It was a cool note that it was, I think, like the first meeting between two Polynesian head coaches at that level, and that was really cool. But unfortunately, the build-up and that kind of tag to the game that gives it a little bit of extra interest did not pan out into an interesting game. That was not one that you really needed to spend too much time watching unless you just really wanted to be impressed by BYU's offensive line and their run game. They were clearly the better team, and that's going to be a tough one for Navy to recover from. I know Ken Niamatulolo, their head coach, had said that they didn't hit before the game. And that was a mistake.
During practice, they didn't have much contact at all. And that was just a decision he made. And it could probably, that might not have been why Brigham Young won, but it might have been why the game got out of control. Paul, we're going to break before Steve Largent?
Yes, please.
All right, let's do that real quick. We'll come back with Pro Football Hall of Fame wide receiver Steve Largent. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Let's face it, some people just like driving around in the nude. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters to talk about those truck owners that know they have naked trucks but simply don't care. You'll hear them saying something like, I'm just driving around free and easy, nothing constricting me. Gross. But there is something that can entice almost any naked truck owner. Leather. I mean, they kind of go together, right? And Pickup Outfitters is an authorized dealer and professional installer of cat skin leather seats. So I'm asking you to do your part and help us end truck nudity. The next time you're near your naked truck owner friend, you can say something like, you know what would really be sexy on your truck? Leather. And they'll get that sly smile, and you know you've hit them in their moving car. It's the sexy thing to do. You can be part of the problem, or you can create a commotion with cat skin leather seats at Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
What season is it? It's truck season at Allen Samuels. Ram trucks are raring to go, ready to work and play, and all feature the best deals of the year during Ram Power Days. Come get your brand new Ram Lone Star at Allen Samuels with 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $9,250 in bonus cash and incentives. Ram, the highest pickup owner loyalty in America. Shop, apply, buy online. We deliver. Ram Power Days at Allen Samuels.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Craig on 3rd and 1, plays, intercepted by Hart. Oh, and Largent unloaded and got the ball. Holy cow, what a shot.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
When you look at some of the great receivers in the history of pro football, two of them, and there might be more, and I hope I'm not overlooking one of them, but one of them is about to join us, a Pro Football Hall of Famer in Steve Largent. And just a couple of weeks ago, remember, Drew Pearson, who's been a part of our show numerous times, Hall of Fame to be, from Tulsa as well. Steve Largent joins us on SicEm365 Radio, Paul Craig and David Smoke. Steve, thank you very much. What is in the water in Tulsa that produces wide receivers?
I'm not sure what it is, but Drew was sure a good example for me to follow.
Yeah, and he was an undrafted free agent, and of course you were drafted, is that right, like in the 4th round, but eventually had to have a tryout with Seattle?
That's right. I got cut by the Houston Oilers. It was Bum Phillips' second year in Houston, and he cut me we had 6 weeks of training camp, and after the 4th week, he said, "You're not going to make our team. We're going to let you go and see if we can get, trade you or something like that." And after he said they're going to let me go, everything else was blah, 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 blah. I didn't hear what he said. But, so then I got a second chance with Seattle, and it just so happened that Seattle had hired my offensive coordinator from college, Jerry Rome, to be their quarterback and receiver coach. And so I got a second chance in Seattle, and I never looked back.
Yeah, in fact, we had Jerry on last week, and that's how we were able to connect with you. So thank you very much for returning the request to have you on the show. And Jerry's coming back to have a bunch of stories about Brian Piccolo at some point this week. So he did tell us about that workout with Seattle, and it went so bad, and the pressure you felt about the family and money and all that. So did you really not sleep for a week and a half leading up to that time?
No, that's totally fabricated. But there was no doubt that I was definitely upset about having been gotten an opportunity in Houston and kind of blown it, and was getting a second chance in Seattle. But at that point, even having a second chance in Seattle, I was definitely going over my resume and assuring myself that I had my college degree and I could get work if I needed to with my degree in hand. But no, I got a second chance with Jerry, and fortunately for me, in Seattle, the offensive coordinator had told Jerry, "You put in the passing game, Jerry." And so Jerry had put in our passing game from University of Tulsa. And so when I went into camp, I knew every play like the back of my hand because I'd been running it for 3 years in college. And so that was a huge benefit for me to kind of jump ahead, at least jump even with all the receivers they had in camp at that time. And that gave me a second chance, and I didn't look back, like I said.
So how did the legend of the sleep deprivation grow from that bad workout?
It's funny. Different people tell different stories, and it's always interesting to me to hear what the story they tell about my career path. But it's just there was no question that I was definitely my confidence had been shaken in Houston by getting cut by Bum Phillips so early. But I never missed a night of sleep. That's for sure.
Steve, obviously your ability to catch the football is one of the trademarks of your playing style that people point to. And, I'd read before about, how skeet shooting and your buddy helped as far as tracking the football and how to catch it. Can you kind of explain how that revelation sort of came about and how effective it obviously became?
Yeah, it was probably after my first or second year, maybe third year playing in the NFL. Some friends of mine and I were out shooting trap and skeet, and so the guy that owned the trap and skeet place was giving us some lessons, and he said, what I do is I track the skeet, and what I look at is the leading edge of the skeet. That's what I try to find is the leading edge, not the whole skeet, just the leading edge, and then I put my shot in front of that, and I'm usually successful when I shoot. And I just started thinking about that in my head. I thought, there's some application to football in this. And so I started thinking about it and started practicing. I'd always heard coaches tell me and people say, keep your eye on the ball. And to me, that was like keeping your eye on the skeet. And so what this guy was doing was actually narrowing the focus of attention from the whole ball to just the tip of the ball. And so that's what I started doing. Now, of course, it helps to have a quarterback that can throw a spiral. But that being said, most of them in the NFL at that level do. And so I started tracking the ball by watching the tip of the ball. And that really helped me a lot as a receiver to catch the ball more consistently. And that's what coaches are looking for, is that, not necessarily the guy that makes the big catch or, catches a ball behind his back or one-handed, all that kind of stuff. They want a guy out there that's going to catch the ball every time they throw it to him. And so that's what I tried to emphasize on my career, is just being a guy that was ran consistent routes. You knew what the plays were, but caught the ball consistently.
Do you feel like that also helped from the transition from a lefty to a righty, from Zorn to Craig?
Well, it was different for sure. Jim threw a ball that you had to adjust to because it was coming from a left-hander, and his ball will always tail to the left. So if you're running on the left side, running down the left sideline, and he's throwing you the ball, his ball is gonna fade to your outside. Now, on the right-hand side of the ball, and he throws you the ball is going to fade to the inside. And so if you know that, and of course I did after playing with him for many years, then I could just make the adjustments, before he even threw the ball, and give him more room on the left side. So I wasn't running out of bounds to catch the ball, and then being aware that his ball is going to fade a little bit inside to my inside if I'm running on the right side of the ball. So, just little adjustments like that that people don't think about when they're sitting up there in the stands and eating corn and watching the game. But as a receiver, those things are important for you to know and to adjust to.
So today, as I was preparing the opens for the show and all that, and I do this a lot when we have Hall of Fame guests on, I fall into a YouTube hole and find highlights. I was, you were the leading receiver in NFL history for a nice little stretch and touchdowns and all that stuff. I was very surprised to see that most of the videos on YouTube are dedicated to your rivalry between you and Mike Harden and your and the revenge. I don't know if it's revenge or whatever you want to call it, but the hit you had that you forced the fumble on him, which was a fantastic highlight. What was that whole scenario, that season like, and are you surprised that people will still go online and look at the rivalry between those two teams and you two even today?
Well, there's no question that there was a big rivalry in the AFC West where the Seahawks played at that time, between the Raiders and the Chiefs and the Seahawks and the Chargers, and we had a really heated rivalry every year. And, how you did in our conference determined how you did in the postseason a lot of times. And so there was a big rivalry. There wasn't that much of a rivalry between me and Mike Harden, who was the safety for the Broncos at that time. He was a good player, and we had to be aware of where he was and that sort of thing. But he never had a reputation for being a cheap shot guy until he hit me. And it was obvious that he had come into that game with that sole purpose in mind. He had his arm taped up so he could deliver the blow, and he did. He hit me right in the head, right in the face, actually right in the face mask, broke 2 teeth, knocked me out of the game. And then the follow-up to that was he intercepted a ball against the Seahawks in the Kingdome later in the season and ran it out of the end zone. I was running the same route on the other side of the field and started to, kind of take a beeline for the guy who intercepted the ball. And he ran towards the middle of the field, and I was running towards the middle of the field. And it was just just karma. It was meant to be. And so when he cut back to his left, I was just right there and laid it on him. And it wasn't a cheap shot. I hit him. I didn't hit him in the head or in the face mask or that. I hit him right in the chest and hit him as hard as I possibly could. And people asked me after the game, did I know that was Mike Harden? And I remember that he's the guy that hit me in Denver. And I said, absolutely. I knew exactly who it was, and I knew exactly what I was trying to do, and I did it. So, yeah, it was definitely the highlight of my career.
Steve, I'm probably not following the best example asking this question when you're talking about broken teeth and things like that, but for a guy that a lot of people when you were coming out of Tulsa said he's not big enough or not fast enough or what have you, you were awfully durable for a large portion of your career. What do you attribute that to?
You know, I think it was just, I always tried to keep myself physically fit and ready for every game, every season. But I think it was just, God watched out for me. And, I played football since I was 9 years old, and I never really had a serious injury ever. I had, nicks and bumps and bruises and off-season surgeries and stuff like that, but nothing that really was debilitating or I didn't miss any games or any practices or things like that. So I think I was just fortunate.
Do you remember the touchdown winning type catches or the big, huge clutch catch that led to a win or a drive, or do you remember a drop more?
Well, it's funny. I would say if you'd asked me that while I was playing, I would say I definitely remember a drop more. But now, as I look back, I didn't drop the ball very much.
I didn't think so, yeah.
Over the course of my career, I maybe dropped 5 balls. And so there wasn't a lot to remember. And who wants to remember that after your career's over anyway? Mm-hmm. So, I remember a lot of the catches I made, but I caught a lot of balls and I don't remember all of them, but I remember some of them. And like I said, I remember that hit Mike Harden gave me, and I remember the one I gave him. And that was a bigger play to me than any catch I ever made.
How important was it, you think, with Drew Pearson? He had been through so much, had long overdue, earned to be a part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. What was your reaction when you heard, of course, earlier this year there was that massive disappointment, but then again now all of a sudden he is going to be in?
You talking about Drew?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my gosh, I've been advocating for Drew for years. He was a guy that when he played, when the Dallas Cowboys played, I was watching him the whole time. And he was just a guy that you knew would come up with the clutch play, the clutch touchdown. And I'm so proud that I think he will be in the Hall of Fame for sure. It's always, you don't want to say that now, but
right.
I don't understand why he would not be at this point in time. But Drew is a great guy, great competitor. And he did the same thing at TU. He was a quarterback in high school. And came to TU as a quarterback. Played quarterback at TU for a year or two, and then switched to wide receiver and just blossomed from there. But I learned a lot from watching and watching Drew practice and watching Drew play at Tulsa, and then continue his career with the Cowboys. And I just think he's very deserving, and it's something that's long overdue.
Do you enjoy the game now more? Because there seems to be much more open offense. That doesn't mean they still don't slam the ball with a running game and all that matters, but do you enjoy the game now the way it's played?
Yes, absolutely. And I love to see him throw the ball, 50, 60 times a game. Because, to me, that's as a receiver, that's what you live for is passes. And so for me to watch a game now, I love to watch him throw the ball and to do it efficiently and effectively. I loved watching Kansas City last year with their quarterback and their receivers, and they threw it almost every down and were very effective winning the Super Bowl. But yeah, there's a lot of great receivers and a lot of great quarterbacks in the league now, and I enjoy watching all of them.
Steve Largent, Pro Football Hall of Fame wide receiver, with us on SicEm365 Radio.
That fan base in Seattle is pretty unique in the way that they're how loud they are and how passionate they are about that. When you do get a chance to go back and interact with that fan base, what's that like, and what is it like to be part of that Seahawk history?
Well, it's special to say the least. But and you're right. The fans they have in Seattle are unlike any other city I've ever seen. They are so vocal and so loyal, and they're not the mean kind of fans that are gonna try to hit you below the belt when you come to Seattle. But they're going to cheer for their team, and you're going to know it when you come there. And it really was for me for 14 years. It was a very special place to play. Seeing how loyal those fans were and how much they loved you, and they cared whether you won or lost, but they loved you as a team and as a player, and so you always appreciated that.
Steve, reading through your bio a little bit, we had other Hall of Famers on, and there's some they've appeared on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, or they've been in movies, and we delve into that a little bit. What was it like to be named to People Magazine's Most Beautiful People back in 1996?
Well, it's something that I use tongue in cheek quite often. No, it was it was a cool thing, but it's I don't know. It's not something I really think a lot about.
Right.
What was more competitive, playing in an NFL game or running for office politically?
Well, that's a good question. I've been asked that a lot. I don't think there's not very many things that are more competitive than an NFL game or making a team in the NFL. But I would tell you that running for office is something that's really hard to do. And it is very competitive. It's competitive in your primary race. It's competitive in your general election. And once you get there, it's not easy either. But you gotta think. You gotta be smart. You gotta watch what you say, and you always gotta be on your guard when you're in office or an office holder, because now you're not just representing yourself. You're not just representing a team. You're representing a whole district or state as a representative, and that takes on a lot more. There's a lot more weight to that position.
Anything else, guys? Steve, thank you very much. Great to have you on. We've had a bunch, probably 3 or 4 dozen Pro Football Hall of Famers. It was great to get you on. We'll have Jerry Rome again on Wednesday. Do you have a story about Jerry that we can have, that we can share with him, other than that tryout?
Jerry is a great man, a great coach, and one of my very, very good friends. And the only thing I could think about Jerry was there was one time. Well, Jerry used to wear a toupee. My wife's laughing as I tell you the story. He used to wear a toupee in practice, and so he'd have a hat on with his toupee on. And there was one practice that Jim Zorn actually scrambled out of the pocket and ran into Jerry. Jerry was looking at the plays and looking at what he's calling next and all that sort of stuff. But it was on the field. This is the practice, and Jim scrambled out of the pocket to throw a pass. And when he scrambled out, he collided with Jerry. And Jerry went down, and his hat came off, and his toupee flew off. And what happened was the guy who videotapes our practices put that piece in the practice session, so that when Jerry was going through the tape and showing it to the players, it showed him getting run over and his toupee flying off. And it was just one of the funniest things that I could, just multiple times it was showing and in slow motion and everything like that. And it was one of the funniest things that we had ever seen. And we didn't know whether we should laugh or just be quiet.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip a coin on whether I bring that up. I think knowing him, he'll laugh about it. He's got a great sense of humor. Steve, thank you very much for what you did at Tulsa, what you've did in the NFL, and also what you've done since then as well with your family. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it, and have a great day.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Steve Largent. He's in the Tulsa Hall of Fame, Seahawks Ring of Honor, Pro Football Hall of Fame. His number 80 was retired, but then Jerry Rice joined the Seahawks later in his career, and
they agreed to have him wear the number.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder in hindsight if that was really worth it. I don't feel like they probably went to too much trouble coming to an agreement. I guess Jerry reached out, or somebody from the Seahawks actually reached out.
Yeah, and then
they
they
got him to change it. But
the president reached out to him. President
Seahawks
Bob
president?
Whitsitt, reached out to Largent.
Yeah, so the Seahawks front office helped make that happen. Looking back, not really that big of a deal, quite frankly.
No.
And, not sure it was really worth the trouble for Jerry Rice either, because it's not like we really remember his Seattle career all that fondly. So pretty sure he could have, played in a different number and everything would have been the same, but I get it, superstition.
So his jersey at Tulsa, number 83, and his jersey with the Seahawks, number 80, both retired. All right, when we come back, a couple of notes. We have high school football segments coming up with both Brian Bell from China Spring, their 2-0 play at Brownwood, and also with Robert Rubel coming off a bad loss to Whitney, 41-0.
Let's just go ahead and keep it here until then.
Well, okay, that said was coming up.
Yeah.
And they have Troy, and they got to find a way to try to contain Zach Robotchik, who's going to be honored this week, and that could come out anytime, even later on today, one of the statewide awards that I'm on a committee with. But I'll tell you this, one of the things he does bring up is Zach Robotchik. He said he's the best running back that he has faced, and he was at Robinson when Tommy Allison was the head coach, and now he's the head coach. It's the best running back they have faced in 3 years. They played Connolly with JV on Sunday, among others. But Robotchik is so special, so unique, and, of course, committed, a month or so ago to Sam Houston State. I was doing a write-up on him today. I'm not a writer. I hate to write. I really have never – essays would, freeze me over. But he has, 589 yards rushing in 2 games.
Crazy. 2,700
last year. He's got 10 rushing touchdowns. He has the 103-yard kick return.
Well, how good is his offensive line?
It's got to be really good.
Because, he's good, obviously, but you're not running for chunks like that if you're not getting some holes opened up as well. And I'm sure he's breaking through some tackles and whatnot. But, they must have a really salty offensive line. And obviously, he's a very good player in his own right. So those are pretty heavy words to say, as you mentioned, when you're comparing, Robotchik to JV on Sunday, who's now at Washington, or any of the countless others they've faced along the way as well.
Yeah, they're road graders. There's no question about it. All right, it's 3:36. We'll keep it here for a couple more minutes. Paul, do you have the Dave Aranda comment about the mindset, the change of the emotions and mindset from camp to the first week of a game? Possibly?
Yes, I do.
Okay, if you could get that, we'd love to have that.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
Also, Craig brought this up, and we might do this on Friday when Grayson joins us, if depending on the timing of it all, about game-by-game Baylor and their season of the 10 games they have, including Louisiana Tech Saturday, and how we look at that game by game. We make sure we don't forget that. We might do it before we get to Grayson and then share it with him as well. Here's Dave Aranda. When I asked him the question about what is the difference in the mindset from fall camp that they've been in now for quite some time to what this week is about with Louisiana Tech on Saturday?
Does everything tighten up this week, Dave, with the game? Does it intensify? Do you try to keep it status quo? How does that change?
Well, we went through this week last week, and so I think my view of it is to try to win the moment, win the day, to make the reps that we're working on, to make the time that we're investing, make all of that count. That would be the thought. And so, I think the players naturally are going to bring added energy and added anxiety sometimes, but they're going to bring that. And as much as we can keep it, the focus on ourselves and a real clear, concise criteria is if we do these things and we do them well, that this game's going to take care of itself. And so it's been kind of that thought from the beginning. And we had a good practice on Sunday, and we're using today to kind of review film and get in the right mindset. We'll attack it again tomorrow.
Well, they've actually started. They really kind of went through last week was this week. And now that kind of at least puts them in the mode where they now hit this week a little bit more sharpened, they hope.
Well, I'm sure a bunch of people watched Navy last night and went, uh-oh, have we prepared enough for this season? Have we done what we need to do to get ready for this season? Coach Ken had said after the game, and we brought it up a little while earlier, that they had avoided contact because of COVID-19 and just all the precautions and things like that. And I don't think Baylor's going to be avoiding contact. Aranda kind of referred to how they're going to ramp it up a little bit. But, I'm very interested to see, what this team looks like in game number 1, because it's been a bit of a mixed bag when you look across the country at who's played already. Some teams look like they're pretty okay, and some teams look like they are far from okay. One team's already lost their head coach, and we've played a week of games so far.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
There's been a mixed bag as far as what everybody's looked like, and then you've got to look at each team and then what their preparations were heading into that game. Some may have had this many practices, and others had the full meal deal, and plus some had spring ball, some didn't, and all that. So for Baylor, a brand new head coach, no spring ball. I'm about as confident as I can get given those things, but I am very curious to see what they actually look like on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it might be like one of those things where the first couple weeks look wonky, and then once they get in a rhythm, we'll see some good football.
Here's a tweet that I got from Girl Friday 85, who listens to the show all the time. I thought I'd convey an observation. I'm watching Navy Brigham Young, and I think based on this and the other games I've seen in college football in September, that this is a month where there'll be a scrimmage. There'll be a scrimmage month for conferences and teams that are playing. I posted this comment on the premium page in the BYU Navy game thread. With no spring ball, little player development, and limited fall camp, it's really going to show this month. I think we can better gauge in October. But you might have, Brigham Young beating Navy is not a surprise. But Brigham Young mauling Navy, who's a very proud football program these days, is shocking the way it happened. And Coach Ken mentioned kind of maybe what some of that happened. But I think you might see, that's why none of these games this weekend, none of them are given. I don't care who you're playing.
Put it this way. I'm not, I know there's going to be money rolling through Vegas now once again, and there has been with pro sports returning. That's not my bag. I don't dabble in that. But even if it was something that I felt confident I could be effective in, I'm not touching this college football season.
No.
I'm not touching this college football season with my money. There's no way to know who's even going to be playing each week. I mean, that depth chart was released by Baylor yesterday, and there's a billion questions about that depth chart that people had of where's this guy, where's that guy, why is this guy here? And the thing is it could be an Xavier Newman situation where there was something off the field he had to deal with and he can't play in game 1, or it could be COVID related, and we're not going to get a whole lot of information in that regard. So when you see guys missing from the depth chart, who knows what it's for? It could be for anything.
Yeah,
but
did I see where Lincoln Riley said that they will not release the COVID stats once the season begins?
I don't know. He might have said that. I have not seen him say that, but he very well could have. I'm not touching any game until I see a lot more college football, because I just think it's a complete wild card on what you're going to see from anybody at this point.
Yeah. Oklahoma's test results, this is for COVID-19, will no longer be shared publicly, according to Lincoln Riley, who announced that. Says won't share the COVID-19 results during the season, cites competitive disadvantage.
Because that's what's most important in this whole thing is the competitive advantage or disadvantage of these football teams. It's almost like we just forgot the last 6 months happened and we didn't realize why we're playing later than we were supposed to be playing. I think anybody, and I went on this rant the other day about Gary Patterson and TCU and their shroud of secrecy. That list came out from ESPN outlining all of the schools in the Power 5 conferences that have either or mostly it was talking about those who have not been very forthcoming. Maybe an update here and there, updates incredibly vague, what have you. There's no reason to be vague with this COVID stuff. There's no reason other than competitive advantage or disadvantage, and that's not what this should be about. I hate that Lincoln Riley made that remark, because he was one of those guys who was actually more patient and more like, whoa, let's hold on a second here. And I don't think there needs to be secrecy. If you got 20 kids that are going to be out, then we need to know you got 20 kids out.
Let me read his quote. This is the full quote. I think we're to a point now when we're playing games, and obviously any active case or contact trace is going to have game repercussions. So just like we would with an injury, we made the decision to not broadcast that. I know we've been probably the most transparent school in the country up until then, but you don't want to give your team a competitive disadvantage, so we're not going to do that. And, of course, there's some people that lost their minds and there's some that understand where he's coming from. But you're right. I think that in a case like this, it would be – I think that you still needs to be very transparent. We'll ask Mac Rhodes that. He's not going to be on with us till Thursday. That might be a great question for him Thursday. Are you going to continue to have your graph and all that with what you have? They haven't said which sports.
Right. You don't have to be incredibly detailed with it.
But whether they will have that, and we'll ask maybe Dave Aranda that the next time we as well. We got to do the high school segments. Go ahead.
Okay, but, Baylor is saying, hey, we got 10 positive cases right now over all sports. Doesn't give you some competitive advantage if you're playing Baylor football this week. You don't know if those are football players. You don't know if they're all football players.
Could be 8 track athletes.
Exactly.
One football player and a volleyball player.
So I don't really buy Lincoln Riley's reason there. Oklahoma could come out and say, we got 50 kids. Nobody knows who football players are.
Kevin McGuire, Temple season opener against Navy scheduled for September 26th, moved to October 10th to allow the Owls more time to practice for the season. Philadelphia restrictions making it difficult for them to practice regularly. That's probably a good thing now for Navy as well. It's 3:44. We're going to hear from China Spring and Robinson football coaches. One's 2-0, the other one's 1-1. And then at 4 o'clock, we'll get back into some NFL news and notes. And we'll run Dave Aranda from yesterday, my one-on-one today. We'll run it at 4:20 with Mac Rose being pushed back to Thursday. This is SicEm365 Radio. I was going through a lot of the, material that I have for various companies who I endorse. And one of them that's easy to do is Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. In March of 2013, I was 282.5 pounds, and now I am always in that 188 to 190 range. And if I get above that, it's probably just water weight from drinking too much water or something else. I do remember this. I got this email. This is from Houston. August the 8th of 2016, this was just over 3 years from the time I started that journey at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness and with personal trainer Christy London. David, over the years, I've listened to a lot of commercials on the radio and, of course, television as well. However, I have been meaning to tell you the one you do for the Health and Fitness Club in Waco is the most effective one I've ever heard. You come across as sincere and believable. They are certainly getting their money's worth. And I hope so. And so have I. Because it's been an amazing journey. It's an everyday process. Sometimes there are bumps and bruises. Sometimes I've had even more than that. But it's about a daily commitment to your health. A daily commitment to be healthy, to be fit, and hopefully allow you to feel better as well along the way. Sometimes it might help you alleviate stress by just working out. Every day there are a bunch of people that walk through that front door, whether individually or with group exercise classes, and there are 40 plus of those. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the number one selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford, our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week. Locally owned dealership, online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. The annual tent sale's going on right now.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the number one cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
SicEm365 Radio's coverage of Texas high school football is sponsored by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans for over 50 years. J.D. Power, highest customer satisfaction among auto insurers in Texas, 9 years in a row.
Hi, this is China Spring football coach Brian Bell. You're listening to SicEm365 Radio, your home for the best high school football coverage in the state of Texas.
This segment with China Spring Cougars football coach Brian Bell is sponsored by Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, First National Bank of Central Texas, Lance Donaldson eXp Realty, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
What an impressive win, Lorena, and I mean, you jumped all over them and end up dominating the game. Your thoughts about how your team is playing right now? You've had two huge and lopsided victories.
Yes, sir. You know, kids came out. We had a little rain delay, or lightning delay, I guess you could say, at the beginning of the game, and we've had a little bit of adversity. So pregame looked a little different. I was really pleased with how our coaches and our players responded. Getting ourselves ready to play and show to be successful for us.
You're never happy. The coaches are never happy. But is there something just through the first couple of weeks that you want to tighten up other than the obvious of just getting more snaps and experience?
Oh, there's plenty of things to clean up right now. I mean, you got special teams issues we gotta clean up. We've got some things on defense and things on offense, just small details. But, you know, the majority of the things that we're doing right now, offensively and defensively, are good. You know, you can't coach effort. And I think our kids are putting a lot of effort right now. And, we're very thankful for that as coaches.
Demarion Alexander, a young man who is committed to Kansas, has really matured quite a bit and obviously has the ability and the skills to be one heck of a football player, not only at China Spring, but also at the next level. Your thoughts about what you've seen from him and how he's grown up?
Demarion is a passionate young man, and loves the game of football and plays extremely hard. And like you said, he's matured so much, and he's still maturing. Just like we all are, and his growth. The sky is the limit for that kid, and I'm just so thankful he's wearing Columbia blue every single day and every Friday night because he's a special talent.
So you're about to face Brownwood. They were beaten by Lampasas. We know how good they are. They went to the semis and took Carthage to the brink with Whitehead and company. But they're coming off a nice win, bounce back win against Greenwood out of Midland, 35-15. Your thoughts about them?
Brownwood. We've been in the same district in the past couple of years. We're pretty familiar with them, so we're going to work cut out for us. They put it on us pretty good late in the season last year, and let's not even talk about Lampasas yet because we got to worry about Brownwood, and we're not trying to look that far ahead of the Badgers. So we're going to try to take care of business this week.
You continue to rotate the quarterbacks, which is basically a fit down in distance. You're comfortable with Faulkner. You're comfortable with what Major Bowden can do as well. Is there an art form to making sure that works?
No, I just base it on feel. You know, there's no rhyme or reason for who's going to play, what time they're going to play. Just kind of how it's going and what situations are and what's working offensively. And like you said, like you hit the nail on the head, we trust them both. They both do really good things, and we're excited about getting them on the field.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance in McLennan County takes pride in backing Central Texas football. Our agents would like to help with your insurance needs. Call 254-772-8090 for an agent near you.
Are you a SicEm365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trust, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is SicEm365 Radio.
This segment with Robinson Rockets football coach Robert Rubel is sponsored by Stonewood Dental, Parsons Roofing, Lance Donaldson eXp Realty, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
Robert, obviously the win in week 1 against Taylor was great, but man, you took kind of a step back, and it just was one of those nights. Whitney just dominated. What did you see once you looked at the game film?
You were right. When we stepped back a little bit, just making some mistakes that we felt like we had progressed past, and we didn't. So, we're one of the things we've been stressing for a while now is that we've got to protect the football, and we didn't do a very good job of that, and it cost us in the second half. And they kicked off twice to us and recovered, and they weren't even onside kicks. They were just recovered balls, and it's something we got to fix. But there's one point in the middle of the second quarter before the thunderstorms hit where we're down there on the 10, we're going in, we got a chance to go score on a play, and we end up fumbling the ball, and we take the lead right there. So it's just and kind of from that point, everything went downhill for us. We missed the kicks, on the kick returns. We didn't get the ball back for our offense, and defensively we just kind of started letting down. We had a couple injuries. We started playing some young kids, and so while things were going in the wrong direction for us, it did allow us an opportunity to put in some kids that we weren't sure if they were ready to be Friday night guys, and so we got them in there in the middle third quarter and the fourth quarter, and got them some experience. So that was a positive we took out of that.
And do you feel like the fact that there was just the one scrimmage, could that also be something that some teams, not just you, but others may be dealing with as well? They just kind of get some of those things out?
Right, absolutely for us. So we could tell, and when we played Taylor, we could tell we were a week behind. I mean, you could just tell. And for us, I was talking to our offensive coordinator this morning, and I said it's great for us to be back. And we just started school today. And so our kids haven't even been in school, and so it's just it seems like they've just been off kilter a little bit because everything is just different. And so we knew we were a week behind. Our kids aren't in school. Everything just seems strange. And so, we're really hoping that starting school today and kind of getting everything back to normal as much as it can be, it will help us, here this week.
Well, now you've got Troy, and there have been some classic games between these two schools in recent years, but you know what they have. They've got the running back that puts up huge numbers. Is that someone you feel like you just have to try to contain him and not let him go off for 250 yards?
Oh, absolutely. For us, I've known that for 3 years. And I'll be honest with you, I think he's the best running back we've faced. In my 3 years here, this is my third year. The past 2 years, I thought he was the best kid that we faced all year. I think he still is. I think he's the best player that we're going to see in our 10-game schedule. Just a really talented player, and we've got to do our job to try to stop him.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at TexasTrialLawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com. How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7, and personal trainers, Christy London and Randall Corley. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Over the middle on the crossing pattern. It's complete. It's Tyquan Thornton. Tyquan can go. Look out. Down the sidelines. A cutback and some power down to the 5.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, normally Tuesdays at 4:20 we have Mac Rhodes. He's pushed back to Thursday this week.
What does he have to do right now? There's nothing going on.
He's avoiding the Fig Newton gate.
One of the questions that's a controversy completely invented by you.
Completely.
But
watch.
Yeah. One of the things I'm going to ask him, though, this first game week of what they're doing has to be almost as much pressure as that kind of game when I know they had one in between that year, but his first year here where they had some things at McLean Stadium that weren't, like getting water and the concessions weren't backed up, and they actually had like a week or two in between home games for him to get it right. But I think the pressure on that, hey, Matt, can you fix these problems pretty quickly, was pretty great, and this has got to be kind of like in that same realm of making sure you do this right, of bringing fans in.
Yeah. And there's a small amount that will be there, 125%, but still there's going to be some very needy people because there are some people that are used to everyone basically polishing their fingernails and doing their toenails, right?
Mm-hmm.
And doing and that's because they are in these very nice places, and you spend a lot of money to have these places because you expect, amenities. You expect to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen, even when we did tailgates before, which it won't be this year, over in the with the great Doug Furch and the Baylor Alumni Network, or what they called fan engagement, that there were the people that were like, if they had to wait in line for a burger, they weren't happy. They're not used to that. And so now you've got this, plus there's some things you're just not going to be able to do. This was the quote from Coach Ken at Craig, how do you say his last name?
Niumatalolo, but I'm probably off a little bit
No,
there.
God, I'm so jealous. I want to say his name. The game was 1,000% my fault. I love this quote. This is a guy that represents Navy. That game was, and he's very good. That game was 100% my fault. Looked like that was our first live game. The first live stuff is usually against ourselves. That's the worst Navy game we've ever played. It's my fault. I chose to block bags and tackle donuts. All my fault.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about a little bit earlier. I'm interested to see the different approaches taken by different teams, and that's why I was saying that there's no way I would bet money in Vegas right now on any college football outcome. I mean, clearly, if it's like Ohio State was playing, I know the Big Ten's not playing right now, but if Ohio State's playing Furman with no buildup, I still feel good about Ohio State. So I'm not going to that extreme. But at the same time, I don't think anybody could have seen 55-3 last night, BYU over Navy, and you may not have known that Navy wasn't really doing a lot of physical stuff in practice. And who knows who else has been taking maybe a similar approach. Whoever has been is certainly changed gears after last night.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, that BYU offense, their offensive line is ridiculous. They ran for 300 yards. Like 20 dudes got carries in that game. And they were able to chunk it as well. I mean, they piled up nearly 600 yards of offense. And for Navy, I mean, they can't throw the ball. We know that. So they had 5 catches on the night or whatever it was. But they only rushed for 120 yards. I mean, they couldn't do much of anything against the Cougars.
So that was the game. I've watched I watched some of it. Next thing you know, I turn around, it's 28-0, and then by then it was off the tables. I thought Ross Dellinger had some funny stuff last night about the game, well, because it just got out of hand. Then he said something about there was a minute left in the game, and I don't know what it was, because maybe Brigham Young had scored, or there was a change of downs or whatever, possessions. He said nothing like a 3.5-minute television commercial with a minute left in a game that's 55-3.
Yeah, that's one thing I do not miss about college football broadcast, that's for sure, is the long wait sometimes. But yeah, you gotta chug on through, or
All right, so I got to go ahead.
There used to be a time where you would, because there'd be, of course, last night there's no other game coming to the back, but they would just go away from that game because they had to fit things in, and they could make the commercials up on the back end. But now, if those games are on Saturdays, they'll just put the thing on an alternate network until it starts. Yeah. I don't know why they don't push.
They do that in the NFL on occasion, although they got to be careful in the market. So DeAndre Hopkins is now the highest paid wide receiver in pro football. Is that right? Non-quarterback.
Yes. Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah, he's not passing up Patrick Mahomes already.
Yeah. With $42.5 million guaranteed, 2-year extension for $54.5 million. He's the one that started the sulk and wanted out of Houston, or did they want him out of Houston?
I think it was clearly mutual, because Bill O'Brien traded him faster than you can say jackrabbit, and he also, he just signed an extension, and then the market went up. So, and he's had nothing but great seasons at wide receiver since then. So his value went up. He sold his way to Houston. Arizona made him a great offer. I actually think, and I don't know how good Cliff Kingsbury's going to be overall as a head coach when it comes to, winning in the postseason and all that. I do know that with Kyler Murray and with the weapons that they have right now on that offense, all across the board, they're going to score points and put up yards.
Okay.
So, yeah, sometimes it doesn't mean that you're going to win games, but it means that
they're dangerous. They're going to drive some people crazy. So, up until today, the highest paid wide receiver was A.J. Green?
No.
Julio Jones.
Oh, okay, because it says here which was the sixth most in the NFL this season behind A.J. Green, T.Y. Hilton, Stephon Diggs, Odell Beckham Jr., and Jarvis Landry.
Maybe that was last year's contracts?
Maybe it's not so much total, but this year's specific. It was going to get $12.5 million, which was sixth most in the NFL. And you're right. You think Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, some of those guys would be a part of it.
The wide receiver contracts as they currently stand now, Julio Jones is getting $22 million a year, $66 million overall in total value. Amari Cooper signed that $100 million deal with $20 million per year. You got Michael Thomas, who's got $96 million and nearly $20 per year. A.J. Green's fourth. I don't know why. I mean, that's just the contract that he signed, but he's 32 and has hardly played a snap in like 2 years. So A.J. Green's not really deserving of being up there anymore, but he is. But yeah, I mean, it's Jones and Cooper and Michael Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins is now in that upper tier and at the top of that tier because of this new deal.
Leonard Fournette, the former LSU All-American. Leonard Fournette, he was in Jacksonville. Paul, what did he say? He's now in Tampa with a guy named Brady.
He said, for the first time in my life, I have a real quarterback. Which also throws, and not that he didn't have good quarterbacks when he was at LSU. I mean, Joe Burrow came much later, or a couple years later. So, but that was a dig. That's just
true colors, man.
But it's okay. Yes, it's true. It's a true thing to say that comparatively to the quarterback he's playing for right now, none of those guys can hold his jock. Yes. It's just not something you say.
I agree with that. It was unnecessary to say. I'm sure he's been probably, given that we haven't heard a lot from Leonard Fournette, maybe wanting to get that dig in for a while, and now he's got the opportunity to do it.
Well, the coaches in Jacksonville made it pretty clear that it had nothing to do with his ability.
Right.
It wasn't like he had lost a step or that he wasn't good anymore. They said that he wasn't a fit in the offense, and then the offensive coordinator was like, no, I mean, it was a personality thing.
He's a good back. I don't know that he's the missing piece for Tampa Bay because they already had a pretty good backfield, but, I mean, certainly he is a nice addition. We'll see if he's the man for them, but, you know, I would not make that comment, but then again, you know, there's a lot of things I wouldn't do that a lot of people do. So maybe he'll go and have a huge season, and maybe he doesn't, and maybe we look back on that comment.
I'm sure he'll be the starter in a couple weeks. I mean, Bruce Arians is stuck to the fact that Ronald Jones is going to be the starter, in spite of the fact that he's got fumbleitis like you wouldn't believe through the first part of his NFL career. But you know, Tom Brady makes everything better when you're on a team.
If he's protected.
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns gave Kareem Hunt a 2-year, $13 million extension. Nick Chubb there, is that right?
Yes.
That's pretty good. And, of course, Kareem Hunt, it was just a couple years ago. His career was, like, dicey.
Yeah,
right?
I'm still amazed that he's in the league.
He scored 3 touchdowns last year after serving an 8-game suspension for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy.
Hey, here's your reward for not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You miss 8 games to get a contract extension.
Which is, I had a discussion with a family member this weekend about, you know, they were asking me about the NFL and kneeling, and, you know, if my position changed. My position has always been the same. I didn't care what people did. I expressed their thing, but so this is where the NFL finds that hypocrisy, or the fans do, of, okay, I'm not going to watch the NFL because they kneel, but guys like Kareem Hunt can make $13 million, and most of the fans aren't going to say a word about it.
If he scores,
yeah,
one of those things that I call it fan hypocrisy, is that you have a guy that's an opponent, and he gets in trouble. Well, he should never play again. If it's your guy, well, you know, we got to wait for it's the same thing in college football.
Mistake.
Yeah, it's the same. Or
everyone deserves a second chance, third chance.
Or when it happens, well, that stuff doesn't happen at my institution or my team. Like, no, it will, it has, it does.
And they start taking shots at the person who then, Now, all right, so big.
I will say, because, I mean, taking a bit of a shot at him being suspended, I mean, clearly he's done enough to, you know, when he has been on the field, he's impressed them, and clearly off the field, that would have to factor in as well for them to want to, you know, give him this much money. His contract was coming up at the end of the year, so it makes sense that he was going to get something done eventually. But, yeah, it's just kind of strange coming off a season where you're suspended for half the year. But, you know, congrats to Kareem Hunt.
All right, so now this is the first week for the Big 12 to play. Baylor hosts Louisiana Tech at 11 o'clock. We'll have details of our pre- and post-game shows as the week progresses. Louisiana plays at Iowa State. It could be a pretty good game.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa State with their
Brock Purdy,
Matt Campbell.
Yeah.
Eastern Kentucky at West Virginia. Was Eastern Kentucky a team that just got mauled by somebody? Arkansas State, at Kansas State. Now, they've already played a game, and that's a deal. That can be a big deal. Missouri State at Oklahoma. Tulsa plays at Oklahoma State. Coach Monty begins another year there. I really wondered about whether he'd be back for another year. And then what's the quarterback from Grandview? Zach Smith is their guy, right? He's in his last year.
It's like in his 18th year of eligibility, it feels like at this point.
Well, I mean, he gets another one next year if he wants it. So.
UTEP plays at Texas in Austin. Houston Baptist at Texas Tech. And then Coastal Carolina plays at KU. So those are the games the first week of the Big 12.
Yeah, you were right. Eastern Kentucky played this last weekend, and they lost 59-0 to Marshall.
That's exactly right. All right, so that's what's going on there. Also, is Game 2 tonight the Stars?
Yeah.
I believe so. It's like every night, right? Almost. Maybe there's a day in between all that.
The Lightning just exploded last night. It was 7-2 when I turned it off. So
they're up 1-0.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball. The Astros lost again yesterday, and they are in a free fall, but still would make the playoffs because of the extended amount of teams. Houston is now 21-20, and they're 4.5 back of Oakland, who won last night. Houston plays Oakland. They start a series, I think, or is that who they lost to? They start a series. I think they start a series. They swept by Angels. Golly, yeah, so they're playing that. I think that's who they lost to was Oakland last
Alex
night.
Bregman is back though.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking, Craig.
No, that is who they lost. Yeah,
that's why they fell a game back, because they lost to the team that was right in front of them.
Yeah,
and they start a series with Oakland. They got beat 6-0 last night.
Yeah,
wow.
Mike Minor starts for the A's today.
Really?
Yeah,
good for him. I like him. You know what? He was not good this year.
No.
He had not pitched well. Typical Rangers, when you're trying to unload people, Lance Lynn's pitched well for 2 years. They can't get rid of him or can't get enough for him.
Which is why they should have traded Mike Minor last year when he was throwing BBs.
Yeah, he was throwing.
And they don't get enough for him this year.
Reminded me of I can't remember who it was, a lefty that was just real crisp.
For what it's worth, I mean, the Astros, it's a doubleheader today, so Mike Minor will be the starter in game number 2.
Yeah. All right, so coming up next, yesterday I had a chance to sit down with Baylor first-year head coach Dave Aranda. We run this on Mondays at around 4. We will have that coming up. Mac Rhodes' segment this week has been pushed to Thursday, so we'll do that. Also today at 4:45, Corey McIntyre of Milo All Day. They are the ones who are going to be the ones that set up the food and the drinks at the Brazos Parking, SicEm365.com tailgate location. He's going to give us ideas of what you can do if you want to be a part of it, how you can pre-order what you want with their delicious food and also with their beverages. He'll join us at 4:45. In the 5 o'clock hour, I believe we'll get David Hellman kind of working on his time. We'll have John McClain, but also at 5:15, Jared Butler from Baylor Men's Basketball on the honor that he was given earlier today being a part of the oversight committee in NCAA men's basketball. This is SicEm365 Radio. Family owned and operated since 1943. That's a long time. Nearly 8 decades. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, offering metal buildings and components, metal roofing and structural pipe from a 1/2 inch to 24 inches in diameter. All types of structural steel, including beams and channel iron, angle iron, flat iron, square tubing, and more. Have a large inventory, and if you don't have something if they don't have something you need, they'll find it. They'll get it quickly. They also will help you with your project, offer suggestions on a design, provide you with reliable contractors if you need them on a metal building or whatever project you're doing, and offering high-quality materials, making sure your metal building bids are structurally sound. Competitors will bid buildings lighter to make them cheaper, and oftentimes that can compromise the structural integrity. So Pioneer Steel and Pipe will make sure you bid the right way and get the right what you need product. Offering the fastest turnaround time in the business on metal building orders, they will deliver it and unload it to wherever it might be. And they also offer the large pipe inventory, giving you many options on building a nice fence or an entryway, cost-effective options as well, including a large inventory of the #1 quality used pipe. Pioneer Steel and Pipe since 1943. You can go to their website, pioneerboys.com. 77 years and going strong and growing every day at pioneerboys.com.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Dave Aranda with us on SicEm365 Radio. Did you ever have a doubt that you would get to the first week of a season? Did you ever think that this would actually not happen?
No, I was always pretty positive that we would get to this point. You know, just the faith in our team, the faith just in what I was hearing coming from just NCAA and, you know, our coaches group, and just the just on top of that, just knowing how important football is and how everyone's missing it to the degree that they are, and how much of our players, and I really feel they need it. And you know, there's times, we were talking about this the other day, where we were back in March, and you know, just wanting to be back together and be around each other and be a team again. I think you always felt that this day would come.
you know that when you release a depth chart, it drives the fan base like bonkers. They start looking for names that they thought they would see, and of course they're not there at practice, and nothing has been something that the public can see, and even most of us in the media. What does a depth chart mean to you? Is it something based on practice and production, or is it something based on sometimes experience and just based on the protocol of the system?
It's about what we know to that point, and so it's probably a collection of both those things. I think, we're going to go off of what we've seen and what we've experienced and kind of where our beliefs are at. But then, there's other guys that have a long history of production and work, and obviously they're on that depth chart as well. But I think you earn your way on and off that depth chart through what you do daily.
Well, Jake Burton's the one that there's names that aren't on it that pop out, but Jake Burton hasn't been there 2 weeks. And for him to be able to earn that spot, he must just be naturally very good.
Yes, yeah. His first day, I think, standing around those drills individually, the team drills, collectively, it's very apparent that this is a guy that has been trained, that he knows football, he knows what's required, he knows the language to say. I think his first day that he could be around, seeing him up in the morning with Wickline at 6 a.m., all of those things are real, and I think his work ethic and his talent is very evident, and just the hearing from some of our players just on how did he know to make that call, or how did he know to this play when we made this check. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a credit to him. It's a credit to Wickline. We're all impressed.
How much does everything tighten up this week, Dave, with the game? Does it intensify? Do you try to keep it status quo? How does that change?
Well, we went through this week last week, and so I think my view of it is to try to win the moment, win the day, to make the reps that we're working on, to make the time that we're investing, make all of that count. That would be the thought. And so, I think the players naturally are going to bring added energy and added anxiety sometimes, but they're going to bring that. And as much as we can keep it, the focus on ourselves and a real clear, concise criteria is if we do these things and we do them well, that this game's going to take care of itself. And so it's been kind of that thought from the beginning. And we had a good practice on Sunday, and we're using today to kind of review film and get in the right mindset. We'll attack it again tomorrow.
It's a very mature team. They've been through a lot. Obviously, a lot of these guys are back. They lost some people too, but are you kind of where would you say you are with watching how this team has handled everything? You've discussed that before with Zoom meetings, but are you further ahead than you thought you could be based on all of what you had to face during the spring and early summer?
I think so. I think the issues that are going to come up is, I think the issues that are hitting everybody just with the lack of spring ball, the lack of a full summer conditioning, and I think you're seeing that some on some of the games that are on TV. You're seeing gap control at times defensively. A struggle. You're seeing guys getting off blocks, struggling to do that. You're seeing tackling in space, busts in the back end. Seeing a lot of high-scoring games, and I think all of those things are kind of a typical a typical recipe when there's not the time that's invested. With our group. Starting from way back with Zoom meetings and with just everything that we've put into it, you're really confident about their 111th, their partner to the left, partners to the right 111th, what's required, how this fits together, the communication that we're making right here, all of that. I've just been way impressed. And so, we talked about the staff about, hey, let's show up and let's be really sound. Let's be, simple allows us to adjust. Simple allows us to improve faster. Simple allows us to be flexible. And so I think that's the thought going into this one.
You had a chance to be a heck of a college player. Then you had injuries and went to Cal Lutheran. You also have had a setback when you were in coaching. Of course, everyone knows if you coach long enough, there's going to be a time when a staff is released or fired, and that happened in Hawaii. How did you focus on continuing your goal of being where you are today through sometimes the ups and downs as a player or coach?
I think you're always learning and growing. I think even in the times when, from the outside in, you're looking at your up, or the outside in, you're looking and you'd be looked at as being down. When you're in the moment, you're looking at how can I get better? How can I learn this in a more succinct and clear fashion? How can I teach better? How can I relate to my players better? How can I be a better recruiter? All of those things I think are at play. And so you're always thinking of how can I get better at my job? So-and-so had a great year. Let's study what he's doing. How can I study that? How can that relate to me? And so that's always been the mindset. And, we're working hard on, and a lot of guys have that here. And we're trying to get that collectively, that mindset here.
Are you a guy that if someone practices well, they play, or what if somebody's not a good practice player but a game played and they light up something? Does it have to be at practice and not just the game?
There's a fair amount of that at LSU. I was talking with a coach of an NFL team about that particularly. This last week about a player that is just that, and they're struggling somewhat with trying to get that player to achieve better in practice, knowing that hey, when the game comes, he's going to play, but we've got to get this right in practice. I got the head coach on me, and the assistant was saying. So I think that's always something, and I think in the past we've been able to get really good game players to practice better by making good bad tapes, by showing examples of guys of, hey, when you have this play in a game, you're best suited to perform the way you need to by practicing that and trying to create that situation. And the more we can get practice in both the coach's view of it and that player's view as being harder than the game, then you've landed where I think you'll be real successful. And then there's been a few guys, that Devin White pops to mind, TJ Watt pops to mind. He's generally the guys that are just so talented that things have come to a degree somewhat easier than most, that to get to that next level, they have to learn to push like they haven't pushed before. And I think for me, it's always been a logical kind of explanation and hopefully understanding of, hey, the harder it is here, the better I can be on Saturdays. And so, that we have a few of those things going on now, which is, it's good when you have that because you've got guys that are really talented.
Baylor head coach Dave Aranda with me, SicEm365 Radio. This will be the first time that something is in a win or loss column with you as a head coach. How does that matter to you as far as you obviously want to be successful, but this is your first opportunity to be a head coach on Saturday?
Yeah, I would want to see how we compete, how we function as a team, how we communicate, however we start off. Do we improve throughout the game? does anything break us? Are we able to withstand momentum? Are we able to withstand, negative things? I think the building of the building up of our team and the strengthening of our team is something that you want to be able to see, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I believe that we will show all of those things coming up on Saturday.
How many Fig Newtons do you eat a day?
No more. Yeah, so since that came out, I know that Mac, I don't know if he's hiding them from me. He may be, but yeah, we don't get them anymore.
What?
And so I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
The Fig Newtons, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a controversy I bring up with him tomorrow. My last question, other than family.
And he would appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Other than family and football, faith, what is also important to Dave Aranda?
Relationships, connections. I think it's always been with me that people have to be able to be valued. People have to be really listened to, really seen. I think in times with me just growing up, there's times where you know what it's like not to be seen and not to be heard, not to be valued. And so I think, to be part of and to be one of and to be valued as a part of that. And I think that's a lot of times that's everything, man. And that allows you to now to be your best self, to be the best version of you. And so, that's what's great about sport. That's what's great about football.
Dave Aranda, thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time. Dave Aranda, Baylor football coach, with me on SicEm365 Radio.
All right, so that's on Mondays, and with Mac Rhodes being out, we wanted to play that again, especially for you holiday people. Golly, I did have Girl Friday 85 told me she listened to the entire show yesterday. She's a very loyal listener, and a lot of you, there's 7,800 or so that Colt said that we saw logged in at one point. But here's what she said to me on Twitter. This was last night. I listened to the entire show. I am completely enthralled with Aranda. And I can't wait to watch him develop into what I believe will be a legendary head coach. Here's the part that I wanted to ask you guys about. He has that Tom Landry personality trait, quiet and brilliant.
Yeah, I did not have much of an opportunity to see Landry in action, right? Just age-wise. He was a bit before, or not a bit, but a little bit before my time. But obviously with the benefit of NFL films and things like that, I could see that comparison. Just as far as a bit stoic and not a man of a lot of words, but certainly when he wants to talk, he's got something that you're probably going to want to hear, and you're going to be interested in hearing it. And I think that's the case with Dave Aranda. Initially his opening press conference, he was so soft-spoken and just so different from, kind of the preacher qualities of Matt Rule, right? Big and loud and very well suited to being up in front of people. Dave Aranda's a little bit different, and so it was a big difference the first time you saw it. But the more and more I've heard the guy talk, I'm never going to doubt his football acumen or anything like that. That would be foolish. But as far as just his personality goes, the more and more we've heard him talk, the more and more I've enjoyed it. And I like listening to him. I like hearing how well thought out everything he has to say is. And there's a lot of things. He's the type of guy, actually, that you kind of have to listen to twice. You kind of have to listen to twice because you pick up on a lot of things maybe you didn't hear the first time around. So, he's been great. I think he's getting far more comfortable. And his laugh was awesome in that interview. We haven't heard him laugh a lot, but he was laughing it up, and that was good to hear.
Yeah, it was good.
Taylor Bryan said that when Rule was there, he would just hand Matt Rule his phone. Rule would lay it on his desk. He'd have the flat screens in front of him with all, and was able to get. That's one of the things that someone asked yesterday, Jason King. I haven't seen if that's been posted or not. The pop quiz. What do you miss the most as a media member about COVID, about the coverage during COVID? Mine is you cannot really. When those post-game discussions happen, win or loss, you could go up to a player even after they were done. You couldn't get a lot of time with them, but you could get some answers from them. You could get a few things from them.
It's just that
media sessions.
Mine's not necessarily just a one-on-one. like the interviews, it's just establishing that rapport and just asking them a question about like, hey,
or getting a coach off to the side as they're walking off the field, and that's the part that I miss the most. And with Rule, he would sit there and he'd start rubbing his hair. But he would just talk, and it was on speakerphone. With me, it was right there in his office, and so we're having to do interviews. But I appreciated it.
So Matt Rule did it that way, whereas Dave Aranda did it.
He gets the phone. He grabs the phone from Taylor and starts walking around the athletics department building, just going on his bit. Yeah, and I'm glad because quality-wise, speakerphone is something you try to avoid, but really in the end, you hope you don't get it. But a lot of times it's up to who you're interviewing and what they want to do because you want them to be comfortable as well.
Well, I think he's gotten comfortable. I think he's got a good, grasp of things. I heard nothing but positive things about this coaching staff and the way they've worked with the players. And, all the ducks seem to be in a row here in week number 1. It's just, not very normal circumstances. And so it leaves you to wonder, how they're going to look and things like that because we haven't been around them. And my answer with Jason King was that just being able to be out there at practice and see practice wrap up and see kind of who's hanging out with who or who's got a brace on or, who's maybe working at a new position and things like that. Those are definitely things we're missing out on without that in-person access. So, it is what it is there, but I think Dave Aranda's handled it really well. And I think the more he talks, the more comfortable he'll get, and then, the better the interview will be. But I think he's already a pretty good interview at this point.
Corey McIntyre, he's at Milo all day. He'll join us in just a second. We'll have him on in 1 second. I saw a couple of other notes. The Colin Kaepernick is now a part of Madden again for the first time since he left the game in 2016, and he's rated higher. This is not
ridiculous.
This is not a lightning rod conversation here. Only because of people won't like him on there, and some people will love it. He's rated higher and has not played in 4 years than some of the current quarterbacks who are rated by Madden.
He's rated higher by several points than he was when he was actually playing 4 years ago.
Yeah,
so he somehow
is better
in 4 years of not playing, become a better quarterback than when he was actually playing every week.
Listen, I understand that there are some that believe that he is a godsend. Mm-hmm. There are some that hate him. He has a right to feel the way he has and what he has said. The part, though, to sit there and try to prop up his value on Madden because of his stance is not what Madden is about.
Why not just put him at the same value he was in the last game?
Because there's an agenda, man. Yeah. And you know what? Whatever you feel about Colin Kaepernick, to each their own. I don't spend much time thinking about the guy. I believe he's far more divisive than someone who's actually going to bring people together, which you would hope it would be about bringing people together and not trying to further separate. I am of the belief, and maybe I'm wrong, and by all means text me if I'm wrong, but I think Colin Kaepernick is looking to be more divisive. I do. His actions tell me that. I'm not saying he doesn't do good work in the community. I'm not saying he doesn't have a point on certain topics, but I just feel like he's more divisive than anything else. And this is, social justice matters, and we need to have social justice. There are wrongs that need to be corrected, but this is such an overreach and just such a ploy by EA. It's garbage. It's total garbage. To have him in the game, I would have no problem with that because you have Hall of Famers or legends or whatever. Not that he's either one of those, mind you, but you have former players that can appear in the game as a bonus or something like that. But to have him rated higher than when he last played 4 years ago, I mean, you're not fooling anybody. We all know what this is about. It's a ploy, it's a gimmick, and it's just stupid.
Well, we talked about it. It's already on various sites.
Also, this looks really bad for EA in that they're not, and they're also doing it because it's a ploy, so they're using him
Right.
So it doesn't mean that they really feel any way about
Please buy our game.
Colin Kaepernick. And this is the lowest rated version of not only Madden, but this is one of the lowest rated video games in years.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the Madden community that have been fed up for a while about just the lack of quality with the game. Deontay actually is somebody who's a big video game player, and I thought I heard him the other day kind of commenting on Madden. If it wasn't him, I apologize, but I thought I'd heard him say something about.
Yeah, I don't think he was wild about it.
I thought I'd heard him say that, but I've read a lot of online reviews, and I have yet to see a positive one, quite frankly. There's been a lot of negative reviews on the game, so it's still popular.
It's a marketing ploy.
But it's a market. It's all marketing, and I just think it's like, if you're EA, like, why even do that? It's just, I guess bring attention, so here we go.
Do you really care about what Colin Kaepernick stands for, or are you using him?
Which you would think he would be against.
To get money for your
You're using his cause, whatever it might be, however you interpret it, to help your business. And to me, that's almost like going against the opposite of what he's trying to represent. All right, when we come back, Corey McIntyre, Milo All Day. I'm not sure if you've ever been there or not. It's a big, spacious place down on, what is it, off of Frank? No, it's off of Austin Avenue, Paul. Is that right? No.
No, it's off of Franklin.
Franklin, it's off of what's like in the corners, over near Balcones, across from Balcones. So they are the ones who are going to be the main, the gatekeeper of what the food and the beverages. Three Nations Beer is going to be a part of our tailgate, SicEm365 tailgate at Brazos Parking. Corey McIntyre, what and how you can be a part of it. You can prepay, you can pre-order, all of that. And it's going to be amazing. Across from McLean Stadium off MLK. And, of course, with Baylor shutting down all of their tailgating, that's where you can tailgate near the stadium. This is SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas. 5 locations right here at home: Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions. Here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology, dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps. Convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. First, free checking. When we say free, we mean free. That means no minimum monthly balance, no monthly service charge, and unlimited check writing, unlimited debit card purchases, which is fantastic. And they've got the Secure Lock Equip, which is how you control your debit card. You get instant text messages every time something comes out of it. That way, if there's a fraudulent charge, you know about it right away. The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home to serve you.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
What season is it? It's truck season at Allen Samuels. Ram trucks are raring to go, ready to work and play, and all feature the best deals of the year during Ram Power Days. Come get your brand new Ram Lone Star at Allen Samuels with 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $9,250 in bonus cash and incentives. Ram, the highest pickup owner loyalty in America. Shop, apply, buy online. We deliver. Ram Power Days at Allen Samuels.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodward. PettyClinicLowT.com.
The SicEm365 radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend's Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, so this Saturday, Baylor's first game, Louisiana Tech. Brazos Parking is going to still have their tailgate section. There's going to be some changes. As you know, Baylor will not have tailgating on their premises. We will broadcast a pregame show. We're going to have a big powwow tomorrow at some point, tomorrow night, and decide all of that. Also what we do in the postgame as well, and try to stick to what SicEm365.com has done, mix in some of the things over the years that we've done as well. But one of the things that's there, Brazos Parking, remember, we had this about a week or two ago when we were given the green light, they were given the green light that they will still have tailgating, and SicEm365.com has the trailer out there, the container that Craig and Grayson have done many things out there with. So we'll let you know what we're going to do, but it's going to be one hell of a deal. And everyone's going to have to be smart, but Milo All Day, which, again, on 1020 Franklin Avenue, is a phenomenal place for food and drinks and beverages. And Corey McIntyre joins us now on SicEm365 Radio to kind of give us an idea of everything that you could expect and also with what they're going to provide. And Corey, I got this from Ashley and also from Brian, that there's a $500 annual fee for anyone who wants to be a part of this. Parking at Brazos Parking. You can eat and drink for the entire season, available if you go to SicEm365.com, the store. You can do this pre-made. But so tell us a little bit about what you expect. What are you going to provide, and give us an idea of how just kind of taste of Milo.
Yeah, so we're super excited about this season. Things are going to be a little bit different over here at Brazos Parking, and obviously everything's totally different just in general for the college football season. But we still want to give a really great game day experience. This first one, we've got the early game, so we're going to start at 8:30 in the morning. Mimosas, Bloody Marys, breakfast tacos, biscuits and gravy. Like we're rolling out the whole thing, and we're going to be partying all through the day. So the game starts at 11. We'll be here till 5:30. So hopefully catching a couple of the later games as well. That's on the SicEm side, and then on the other side, what affectionately was been referred to as the party zone. We haven't renamed it quite yet. We're gonna have a big TV over there. We're gonna have a balconies bar, a local craft tap tent. We're gonna have a full liquor license going over here, and we're gonna have Yaki. My boy Jake Patterson's gonna be throwing down some teriyaki dishes. We're gonna have Tom Hill out there with Nate Gay doing a bunch of really fun, sausages, hot dogs, hamburgers, and we're just going to make it the best possible scenario to, enjoy college football this year.
So, you guys, farm to table and all that stuff that you do at Milo. What's going to be on the menu for Saturday for an early one?
So we're going to be doing our tender belly sausage and bacon breakfast tacos. We're going to be doing my grandmother's biscuits. We're going to be doing sausage gravy. And then we're going to roll out some of our Szechuan wings and our just normal, like, dry rub wings as well. And doing, like I said, we're going to be bringing a bunch of stuff from Balcones. We're going to be doing Mighty Swell, hard seltzer. We're going to have, obviously, tons of Tito's and stuff like that. And just having a heck of a time over here, man. And we're going to try to source it as much as we can from local. We've got Michael Wyatt making beef fat tortillas up in Whitney. We're going to be using his tortillas. We got local eggs from Nest Fresh. It's going to be a good time, man.
I know you guys have continued to plug along and have had a lot of success, and rightfully so, but is there a little bit of a different feel in the air this week because you're getting ready for the big pregame on Saturday and there's just that feeling of football returning?
It feels a little bit of a return to normalcy. I'm a huge college football fan, and just like the idea that, like, we're going to be doing this somehow, some way, just feels good. It's not going to look the same way as it did last year. That's okay. I think everyone's kind of getting used to that anything that they participate in these days is just going to look a little bit different. There's going to be a couple different precautions in place, hand sanitizer situations everywhere. We're going to have to do masks unless you're enjoying food or beverage. But we're going to be watching football on a Saturday in the fall, and it just is going to be right, you know?
Yeah, it is. And by the way, you keep talking about Szechuan chicken wing or whatever.
I'm getting hungry. I really am.
I'm gonna hang up on you, to be honest with you. Now, and Brian and Ashley told me that you can go to the SicEm365.com store, and I'm going to the link right now, and it gives you like the 2020 tailgate package. Use the details. There's single game food package, the season tailgate package, which includes parking, and I mean, how much you like you said, there are games. How did you ever think? Was there a point where you thought you might not even be able to be a part of this? Because I know Brazos Parking didn't get the green light really until about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Honestly, up until the very last minute, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. You know, we've retrofitted our patio at Milo and we're still going to be showing the game over at Milo as well. But we were kind of moving that way. Like, there may not even be a football season. And if there is, it's going to look really weird and really different. We need to do something that still capture those fans. And, you know, we've partnered with SicEm365 on lots of different events. So no matter what, we were going to make it happen. And, you know, you're talking about the different packages. I mean, if it were me, I would go ahead and just buy the full season, to be honest, not just like pushing that on people. But last year, there's twice I did a big pig roast a couple times. I don't know if you guys were out there for that, but I'm going to just kind of keep it up in the air every time and, kind of try to fit the moment, especially with it being a morning game. So I wanted to do more brunch for stuff. But, if we've got a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock kickoff, I'm going to roll out a big pig and do a luau out here, do a tiki bar.
Are you going to dig a hole in the ground and everything? Are you going to you got a big plow horse or something that's going to dig that hole?
Only if Ashley comes out and helps me dig it out.
Well, that means there won't be a hole. He's not going to. He can get his hands dirty with the best of them, but he's not doing that. No question about it.
Yeah. Well, the one that I use is an above ground smoker, so I'll roll that thing out.
I can't wait to see it. I'm always intrigued. I got into a stretch maybe 15, 18, 20 years ago where I really got very much into the big grill, the trailer, the smokers, and I did a lot. But it's you got to be completely committed to that. You cannot just do it half-assed. There's no question about it. And you guys, of course, do it well. Let everyone know a little bit about just your restaurant and where you on 20. I mentioned on Franklin. Your days you're open, hours, and just kind of what the atmosphere, because it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, so we're at the corner of 11th and Franklin, right across the street from Balcones. The address is 1020 Franklin. We started, a food truck. We were doing catering, pop-up dinners, and the Milo restaurant is now like an amalgamation of all those things we've done and the different vibes that I've always put out in Waco since we started. And it's very much farm-to-table food, farm fresh, locally sourced, seasonal, with a southern lean that sometimes goes in a bunch of different directions. At its heart, it's a southern restaurant, but I like to bring in different flavors from all over the place. I mentioned Szechuan chicken wings or, Korean fried chicken, or sometimes we'll pull out, do a potato pave. It's very French, or, we'll do a bolognese. It's very Italian, but like kind of always leaning into that. We're a Southern restaurant. This is what we do. The atmosphere and the vibe there is very relaxed, very casual. I just want to feed you good food. I want you to be there to hang out, be with people. Smoke. We had lunch there one time together, and there's no TVs in there, and so it's meant to be a place where you're with the people that you're sitting at the table with, and it's for that moment to capture that sharing a meal over a table with the people, and it not being about the ancillary things around you. Obviously, we want to add a couple of those things in there. We want to be a safe place to eat and dine out at. We still do takeout. We're still doing some family dinners, and we just want to be there for the community right now and be able to feed people like we always have, and without compromising any quality, without compromising anyone's health. Right now, that's the number one priority.
Milo all day will be providing the food, have a full bar for those looking for a place to gather prior to the game on Saturday. Breakfast tacos, biscuits, and that sausage gravy. That makes me want some of that now. Szechuan dry rub wings along with more. Teriyaki in areas as well. Pre-order the food, SicEm365.com in the store section. Discount, pay at the tailgate. You can do that as well. And TVs, tents, tables, food, fun, fellowship, camaraderie, and Three Nations beer will be a part of it as well. All the setup at the Brazos parking location for SicEm365. Corey, it was great to see you a few weeks back. Thank you so much. We can't wait to see you Saturday.
Yes, sir. Can't wait to see you. Corey
McIntyre from Milo All Day.
And that's a cool place. He mentioned the word vibe, and cool vibe. Love hearing him talk about the food options. Really, really cool. Really glad to have them as part of this thing.
John McClain, Jared Butler, and also, David Hellman, all in the 5 o'clock hour, SicEm365 Radio. Pickup Outfitters, where you can dice up, spice up, and help with accessories for your pickup truck. You can help. If your pickup truck has a bed, but it doesn't have bed liners, they can help you with lay-in and spray-in bed liners. If you don't have a cover to cover up and protect the bed or whatever's in the bed, whatever you're driving around or traveling with or moving one place to another, they have 6, 7, 8 different options of bed covers. And some of them, of course, that are very fancy, and some of them that are just plain and simple, really damn good, and it protects from the elements like right now raining or the heat or the sun or the dust or the wind or eyeballs that say, hey, man, what's inside that bed? And they can't see it if you got it covered up. And yes, they can do what you want them to do when it comes to color matching your pickup truck as well. Pickup Outfitters, Jay Errett, has been the owner in recent years, and what he's done is amazing. They've been in business for 20 years, but when Jay Errett took over, it got even better. Retractable, hard-folding, one-piece lids, hard and soft roll-up lids, removable paint-to-match bed covers as well, and professionally installed with Pickup Outfitters lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. 220 Lake Air Drive, Pickup Outfitters, createacommotion.com.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments, pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family-owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man, he has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma. And they have to come here. They're used to lights. They're used to water in their mouth. They're used to experience. They already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Baylor has led most of the way. Butler off the window, and it goes.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments, with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
We'll have John McClain in a moment, a little bit earlier today. David Hellman would flip the time. He's going to be around 5:30. And Jared Butler of Baylor men's basketball, who's a part of that basketball oversight committee with the NCAA, will join us in between. Chris Miller, former Baylor safety, has been picked up by Tennessee on their practice squad. There's a lot of players out there on the practice squad. So that's been a nice 2 or 3 days since the cuts went down over the weekend. We're now joined by John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, covers the Texans, covers the NFL, Hall of Fame writer, and just an all-around great guy. So, John, how emotional was it, considering it was on a Zoom deal, but how about the Deshaun Watson contract extension presser and all the surprises that they threw at him?
We knew he was on the verge of getting the contract. It heated up for about the week before, and we'd always said all along they wanted to do it before the first game, and he'd get about $40 million a year. So he got 4 years, $156 million, $39 million a year. So everything's done on Zoom now. So they told us to be ready for the Zoom with Watson and Bill O'Brien at 6:30. And then I found out ahead of time they were bringing in some other people, and they were going to let them talk to him before us, and then Watson didn't know it. And it's like that old television show, This Is Your Life. They had Dabo Swinney came on, and he was great. They had Justin Verlander, the Astros pitcher, who he's become friends with. They had his high school coach from Gainesville, Georgia. And they had a kid who's not a kid anymore that Watson met 3 or 4 years ago, who was from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, who had leukemia. and they thought he was going to die, but he beat it, and he came on to talk to him. And then back in Gainesville, Georgia, they had his mama, and they had a bunch of family members in his mama's house. And when they started talking to him, and he started talking to us about everything he overcame, he was crying like a baby. He had to compose himself. He couldn't talk, and I think that went viral. And I think it shows everything that Deshaun Watson's about, how he was touched, how he was brought up by his mother. And they came out of poverty. Warwick Dunn, the former running back for the Bucs, whose company builds houses for needy families, built one for the Watsons back when he was, I think he was about 10 years old. And so it was an emotional moment. And I'm glad people weren't showing me. I told my wife, Carol, I said, man, I got teary-eyed watching that.
John, DeAndre Hopkins got a huge deal now with the Cardinals. Does it surprise you that they gave him one, and does the size of it surprise you at all?
No, they knew when they made the trade for Hopkins they were going to redo it. One reason they couldn't get a number one draft choice for him, and they tried everybody. Most teams didn't want to redo a contract that had 3 years left, making $12 million a year, and including the Texans. They've only done one in their history with more than 2 years left, and that was for Andre Johnson because he had signed a really bad one. When Hopkins signed, he had the most guaranteed money in history for a wide receiver. It was not a bad contract, but he'd outplayed it, and they would have redone it next year, but he wanted out, and they weren't going to go through another contract situation like they did the year before with Jadeveon Clowney, so they took what they thought was the best offer they could get. And people say he negotiated himself. He did not negotiate himself. He did like Laramie Tunsil. He fired his agent. He hired these 3 advisors, and they're the guys that did it. He was involved. But I was listening to the national media say, oh, he did it himself. And I'm thinking, no, he did not.
John, how much does the Gary and Conley injury news change or not change things for the Texans?
He's a starting corner, and anytime you're missing a starting corner going up against an explosive offense like the Chiefs, who throw the ball so well, it's a problem. But they've got a lot of defensive backs, especially got a lot of corners. Their starters are Bradley Roby and last year's second-round pick Lonnie Johnson Jr., and then last year got a former number one pick like Bradley Roby and like Garyon Conley. Vernon Hargraves plays in the slot. So they still got experienced DBs back there, but Conley wasn't a great player, but he was better for the Texans than he was for the Raiders when the Raiders traded him to Houston right before they played the Texans, which shows you how little they respected his game.
So who was it today? DeAndre Hopkins got $54.5 million extension, whatever it is, with Arizona. And obviously he wanted a lot more. What was he just a bad apple in Houston? Was it a bad personality fit? What happened with him?
No, he was not a bad apple at all. I liked Hopkins. I covered every game in practice, but he just wanted more money. And we knew it before last season he wanted more money, and they knew it was going to be an issue. Bill O'Brien's problem with Hopkins is he didn't practice. He was always hurt. But the best thing about him, he always played. He never missed a game because of an injury. And that is something Kyler Murray will be able to rely on. One of the things I respect about Hopkins, at a time when so many receivers are divas, they pour gasoline on themselves and light a match if they thought it could get them on ESPN more. And then some of them are kind of brittle. If they get shampoo in their eyes, they'll miss a month. Hopkins is not like that on either end, and I'm happy that he got it because I knew he wanted it, but he wasn't going to get it here.
Well, wait a minute.
John, that Per Plus really stings.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than getting, like, especially if you wear contacts. And I haven't worn those in like 20 years, but getting shampoo or soap in your eye is a bad deal.
I'd miss several games for sure.
Only Paul would miss a month if he got shampoo in his eyes because his hair is so perfect.
Yeah, well, I use high-dollar shampoo.
You're starting to get patches.
You know what? Let's back off that. I've done pretty well Believe me, spending a lot more money on my hair than's probably necessary. John, the NFL so far, like you said, has handled the COVID-19 really, really well. Did they kind of take what the Major League Baseball did wrong and funnel that into here's where we can't mess up? And is the real test now that they're going to be having games?
Well, they're not going. If you don't have a virus, you can't pass it on to anybody. The problem is, so they can bleed and spit, and blow snot, and never sweat on each other like they always do. The problem is now, and people are asking about traveling. Well, traveling's not an issue because you travel. The only thing they've had to do is add more buses going to and from airports. And because the planes are big enough where everybody can sit apart from each other, and the league has strict rules for that. But you think about it, from the time a player leaves home to go to the stadium to park until the time he gets back in that car the night of the game, in this case they're in Kansas City, and after the game, they'll probably get back home about 3 a.m, and then they'll go home, and then they'll come back. They'll probably come back the next afternoon. What they worry about now is players, especially young single players. They're at home at night and their friends are calling them, hey, say, let's party. They want to chase women and everything. And so they're worried about what players about. They don't follow the protocols they've been following. That's it. What happened to the two Indian idiot pitchers, the kid from Seattle who got cut, and then Lou Williams from the Clippers. Those guys thought they could get away with it, and they got caught. It makes me wonder how many are doing that and getting away with it. But if you go out and you get the virus and you bring it back to your team, ooh, man, not only do you have to answer to the coach and the team, you got to answer to those veteran leaders.
Starts on Thursday, John. Right there in the middle of it.
Nice little gimme game for the Texans against the defending Super Bowl champs right out of the gates.
Yeah. It's not exactly like Louisiana Tech, I'll tell you.
Hey, I'm worried about this game. I mean, as someone, you never know with all this going on. John, great to hear from you. Stay safe. Enjoy Thursday, and thanks for your time.
Good luck to the Bears and SicEm.
There you go. John McClain with us on SicEm365 Radio. Jared Butler is available, and we'll take a break here, Paul.
Yeah.
We'll take a break here. Come back with him. It looks like David Hellman might not work out because they're having some technical issues with the shows that he's a part of. So coming up next, Baylor's Jared Butler. Big-time appointment today by the NCAA Oversight Committee with him, and he's next on SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. The summer savings event continues to roll on, and employee pricing continues on for everyone. At the summer savings event going on now, Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. That's right, you pay what employees pay all month long. If you're looking for an SUV with a little luxury, about some style and some power, well, don't settle. You can drive the Cadillac XT4, XT5, or the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6 right now over at Richard Carr. You can experience the thrill of owning a Cadillac XT4 for only $35,900 at Richard Carr. Other prices, well, you'll see a lot of savings no matter what vehicle you're looking at. How about the 2020 Acadias? Right now you can save $7,000. You can also save $7,000 on 2020 Yukons. You can save $7,000 on 2020 GMC Terrains. Maybe SUV's not what you're looking for. Instead, you're in the mood for a truck. Well, how about saving $8,000 on a 2020 GMC SLT crew cab? So you got the Cadillacs, you got the Buicks, you got the GMCs, all with thousands off right now during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. Plus, you not only get those great prices, but you get free oil changes with a new purchase and in-town priority warranty service whenever you grab a vehicle off the lot. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They want the chance to earn your business, so you can stop by in person and check out their daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff. Or they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them online at richardcarr.com or check them out in person, Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at TexasTrialLawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
This young man, we have had Jared Butler on at least a couple of 3 times since we launched the new show April the 6th. Of course, he had the journey through last season and then, of course, decision-making on what he does next, and then he decided to stay. And what an honor today, appointed to the NCAA Men's Basketball Oversight Committee. This is very rare. And we're now joined by Baylor's Jared Butler on SicEm365 Radio. Jared, you have always handled yourself, carried yourself in a very professional way. What did this mean, and how long ago did they contact you, and did you know this was happening?
Yeah, it seems like I'm always on here now, but really getting to know you guys. So I thank you all so much. But no, I found out Coach Drew reached out to me and asked me if I was interested in doing this whole ordeal, and then I was like, yeah, for sure. I think it would be a great opportunity. And then a week into it, I had to apply, and then about 2 weeks later, I found out that I got it and I was accepted. And it's just a great honor because I think, number one, Coach Drew said I don't think anybody from Baylor has ever done it. And then number two, just a great opportunity to voice, just what athletes like me in my position and coming from a school like Baylor and have an opinion and hopefully create some change and for the better. And so I think this is what this opportunity is.
What kind of issues will you be discussing and dealing with this committee?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for sure some of the coaching staff and allowing different, I would say, like liaison coaches that are not necessarily allowed to be on the court during practice. Maybe some agent changes as far as who can be your agent and what agents can
can represent you during the NBA process. And then also just the name, image, and likeness thing that's going to be coming up in the next year. It's definitely going to cause some changes and some differences among schools. So I just want to be a voice and hopefully get some reasons and through all those issues.
Jared, how much of going through that draft process and kind of seeing life outside of college, how much did that kind of just change your viewpoint of your career and kind of moving forward?
Yeah, that changed my view of just the whole life, just a whole lot, just on my life and how I look at Baylor and how I look at, the decisions I made each and every day. I definitely realized how much money there is out there just for the reason, just because I can play basketball. And then just how much money there is in the game of basketball. So from that, I think it's really important for student athletes to understand that and to treat their bodies and treat their day in their life as if they're professional almost. So that definitely changed a lot, and how the business works and what NBA teams are looking for, what agents are telling you, and what's good advice out there. So that definitely changed my mindset a lot.
How much talk, you brought up name, image, likeness, how much talk has there been, throughout the team on that issue? Because obviously it's something that could be incredibly beneficial for people like you and your teammates. What kind of buzz is there, if any, over what could potentially happen in that regard?
Yeah, there hasn't been too much buzz, but I do think it's when it comes to term, I think it's going to be a big deal for just student athletes, because I know if I had the opportunity, let's say like this year, just to present myself and the ability to make money, it'll definitely change the game. Just the lifestyle would be totally different as a college athlete, I think. And but there hasn't been too much buzz, but it could be some for sure coming soon.
You, in your time on campus, and in a short amount of time, the NCAA and the players who play the game, the players and athletes, the student athletes, have more power and more voice than ever before. Do you feel that? Do you almost feel not empowered, but do you feel like, hey, they're listening to us?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think that's credit to the NCAA, and that's why I'm so excited to be kind of in the first lines of the whole thing, because I feel like they're doing such a great job of listening to us, and they're doing a great job of actually listening to what we have to say, and they're changing some things based on what we say. So that's just tremendous credit to the NCAA. So yeah, you're spot on with that.
It's obviously, like you said, it's a kind of a cool time. It's also a scary time to be a college athlete with all that's going on. But Jared, do you wrap kind of those things around? You're not nervous about this or afraid at all? You're taking this head on, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%. I think Baylor, just in general, and just my parents in general, has done a great job of just grooming me and a lot, putting me in a position to where I can have a voice and being able to articulate my feelings and stuff like that. So I think it's been great. So I'm ready for sure.
Jared, what has life been like in this Corona era for you and the team, just as far as being on campus and all the different things that come with that nowadays for all walks of life? But what has that experience been like thus far?
Yeah, it's been tremendously different. Just the practice schedule, the way we interact with our teammates, social life on campus. It's just tremendously different, to be honest with you. And in many ways, it could be very detrimental for some people, especially for people who are very social and enjoy interacting with people. But I think through it all, I think Baylor's done a great job of giving us some leeway and trying their hardest to let us be together. And but no, it's definitely tremendous. So it's something that I wouldn't want any freshman coming into Baylor to deal with. But it's definitely been different.
Jared, you spoke on campus, in front of the Farrell Center, to other student athletes and others who were in attendance when some of the athletic teams walked and marched around campus on social justice. What was that moment like for you?
It was a great moment, especially because I didn't find out until like a day before I was speaking, and I really wanted to speak from my heart, and I think I got a chance to do that. And I think it was just a great day for Baylor in general because one point in time, all the student athletes, they were all together. It wasn't administration telling us we need to do this. It was all the Baylor athletes coming together saying, this is how we feel and let's do something about it. And I think it was a tremendous step in the right direction. And I think it's just lighting the candle. It's not the whole cake. There's a lot more to it, but I think it was just a great day in general, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
We've heard Coach Drew and others who have said that you're mature beyond your years, and we've asked you about that. Do you? That's not like something hey, I'm mature beyond but do you kind of feel like perhaps that this is just your time and an opportunity that is, you have teammates and others around you, but this is a time for you to kind of like have a legacy at Baylor?
Yeah, in a way, when you put it that way, and when your guys always calling me to do interviews, it kind of makes me think about it. But I think more so it's a time for me to really be just the most humble I can be, and realize the opportunity that God has placed before me, and a time where I can really help people, and a time that I can really impact people. And people say all the time, "Oh, I want to make change in the world. I want to, create impact," and I'm getting a chance to do that. So, Coach Drew always says, "With whom much is given, much is deserved, much is like earned, or much is given." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah. So I look at it like that, and an opportunity for me to just really impact people and just have a voice for everybody that's going through the situations I'm going through.
On the positive side of all this, I mean, there's been so much negativity in 2020, but I would say the silver lining is we're learning a lot of things that maybe we wouldn't have had the courage to ask or been comfortable enough to ask people that we don't know that they're going through. What have you seen in the positivity of spreading a positive message or letting people know or seeing people share their stories that maybe wouldn't have before?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power in sharing your testimony and sharing what you go through, because you don't know what somebody else is going through, and they might feel the exact same way you feel. And especially during this pandemic and the time of just a lot of uncertainty, I think I've seen the most where people were just really had no hope and just were just struggling with just being alone. I know I felt some of it too when I was in quarantine and things of that nature. So I think it's been a great time because I think people have come together and through the struggle, and I think that's been really good. Very positive aspect in light of everything.
To whom much is given, much is required. It seemed like you have that. Yeah. You guys are working out now. You've been able to kind of get going with that. Last thing for you, and again, thanks for your time as always, Jared. What's it been like so far as you guys start to kind of hopefully get to a point where you're getting ready to play a basketball game for real?
Yeah, it's been great just to be back in the gym, to be honest with you. It's definitely different, like I said. But I'm really glad that it's my third year. We got some guys that's been in college for a long time. We got a great coaching staff. So the adjustments we had to make, there were definitely adjustments, but we're very mature as a team, and I can see that from day one since we got back. And it's been great. We've been having little baby steps as far as what we can do, but it's been fun. And the guys are just so mature, and just how professional they are and how they approach the game. So it's been fun so far.
Jared, thank you very much. We're going to have like an open segment for you because we have you on
next week.
and hope to have you again. Thank you very much. Congratulations. That's a tremendous honor, and for Baylor as well. That's Jared Butler, Baylor guard, All-American. You too, part of the NCAA Men's Basketball Oversight Committee. As you mentioned, Craig, there's just two players. Is that right? A lot of coaches and ADs and conference, whatever, people in administrative positions.
I'm not breaking any news here, but can you think of just a better representative you'd want to put forth than Jared Butler for your athletic program or your team? I can't. I mean, I know there's other quality, I'm sure you can throw D.D. Richards or Charlie Brewer or whoever. I mean, Baylor's got a lot of great young people playing athletics, but Jared Butler's got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he just has it, and he's going to be doing interviews like this for a really long time, in my opinion.
I agree. He's whatever he does, hopefully it's basketball, but after that he will have, you would think a role somewhere.
You mean Senator Jared Butler?
Yeah.
That's how I'd seriously think of him that way.
We'll see. All right, it's 5:31. We would normally have John McClain. He was on earlier. David Hellman normally on Tuesdays at 5. He's not available because of something he's doing with DallasCowboys.com, and that's fine. ESPN released their college football predictions, awards, and storylines for every conference. We'll look at what they said about the Big 12. We'll do that. Paul, break here. Coming up next on SicEm365 Radio.
If you are in the market for a new home or trying to sell the one you're in, you need to call my good friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. Buying a home is a kind of a crazy thing. It's, you know what you think you want, you know what you think you want to spend, you know where you think you want to go, but sometimes having a realtor can open you up to like crazy different possibilities, and that's what Lance can do for you. He can sit there and listen to all those things that you want, and then he can find them where you want to be, or maybe he can introduce you to some things that you've not even thought of, because again, that's the kind of real estate agent he is. That's the kind of guy who's going to take you the extra mile. That's Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. So give Lance a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
What season is it? It's truck season at Allen Samuels. Ram trucks are raring to go, ready to work and play, and all feature the best deals of the year during Ram Power Days. Come get your brand new Ram Lone Star at Allen Samuels with 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $9,250 in bonus cash and incentives. Ram, the highest pickup owner loyalty in America. Shop, apply, buy online. We deliver. Ram Power Days at Allen Samuels.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
Hellman?
No. Well, no. I just,
okay.
We made that decision very late, and I've already changed these things twice. So,
all right. Thanks to Sinai Wood, she shared this with me. I knew James Moffitt. He's a former football coach. He passed away in Waco, I guess 2 or 3 days ago at Providence Hospice. At the age of 83. He coached at Texarkana, Lufkin, Jasper, and Atlanta. Played at the University of Texas. And he was an assistant coach in Comanche, Gladewater, and also was an assistant coach at Waco High. Passed away at the age of 83. He was a senior Olympian in track and field, various state meets. But Sinai Wood sent this to me on Twitter. Appreciate that. He also... Did I mention Lufkin? I did mention Lufkin. So he did coach at one time at Waco High, and so James Moffitt passed away. He was 83 on September the 5th.
This is a dumb question, but any relation to Jared Moffitt, Van Head?
From Van Head coach?
Yeah.
You know what? I'll reach out to
I was just
Jared.
curious. It's not a common last name, and I know as someone with not a common last name that more often than not there might be a connection, so I was just curious.
I need to find that out. That's a good point. I did not think that way. Jared Moffitt's a good dude now. He's good. They got drilled. Malakoff, just busted him up. A 3-8 team hammered him this past weekend. Big 12, ESPN.com has their conference set up. Who's going to finish where? Predicted finish in the Big 12, Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma State, TCU 4, Iowa State 5, Baylor 6, Kansas State 7, 8 West Virginia, Texas Tech 9, and Kansas 10.
I think that's a pretty solid list. I think K-State is going to be really interesting. I think West Virginia is going to be really interesting. And those two I could easily see finishing higher than where they're being selected. I could also see Baylor finishing higher than where they're being selected. I mean, when you look at it, the top four actually, and then if you want to throw TCU in there as well, I mean, it all makes sense. I mean, TCU, we know that they'll be in the running just based off, a solid defense. And then, whatever they get offensively, I think that's a crapshoot, and we don't really know. But they have brought in who's the transfer wide receiver they brought in from Nebraska, should be, a great player for them.
Spielman.
Yeah, but, then again, there's no Max Duggan. So, TCU has been able to manage and win a lot of games, even with a kind of offense. So I'm, depending on what that looks like, they make sense to be up there. Iowa State, obviously, they're poised for a big year with Brock Purdy. I think all those make sense. I think Baylor is in sort of that question mark group, but not to the point of where you would have them in the bottom three. So right there in the middle, 5, 6 is about where I would expect to see Baylor on most lists.
Is it? I understand with Ellinger back, but isn't it just like
It's lazy.
It is lazy.
It's lazy.
And they could win the conference, and if they do, we'll be the first one. But it's like you can't. Why is it that they can't be first? They can be like fifth. Why can't they be fifth? It's almost like people just, oh my God, like there's someone watching you fill out your ballot.
Well, if you're basing this, are they trying to extrapolate the team from 2 years ago that should have been better last year, coming off of what they did at the end of 2 years ago? But that didn't happen. Last year, Texas was a very average team. They're very, very average. And that's what they've been for a long time, average or below average. They haven't been good. And maybe eventually, they'll get good again. But until they do, let's stop the world from hoping that they're going to be or thinking that they're going to be, because, look, they have Tom Herman staring down the barrel of he has no one else to blame but himself.
No, I think he's locked in. I think he's locked in, even at Texas. I think he's locked in.
No, if you're saying if he's got any pressure as far as a hot seat, he has the coolest of seats.
But and most people, and again, with everything going on with COVID-19, there's not going to be a lot of buyout stuffs. But I'll tell you, he can't fire coordinators again. You can't keep doing that.
You're right.
He can't fire coordinators again. What he's going to have to do is hopefully Chris Ash and Tom Yurcich can do their jobs and not be interfered with from him, because the reason I think their offense has been wholly inconsistent for his entire tenure is because he's the one calling the plays. And he likes about 3 plays.
Well, they do have Sam Ehlinger, so, that's a good starting point. He's going to be a little bit overrated versus if he had played at, Purdue, because he's going to get that Texas bump. And that's just something you have to take into account, but that's not at all dismissing him as some average player. He's very, very good. He was not that great last year. So I would assume there's some expectations with him now being a senior that he's going to have a big bounce back year. You got Bijan Robinson, the running back that they've been talking about ever since his commitment, the big 5-star, number 1 back, number 2 back in the nation last year. So, he's now a part of the fray along with Keontae Ingram, who's already entering his junior year. He's been very inconsistent, but at times good. So I think they feel better about their running backs group. They're pretty loaded at wide receiver. And they brought in some transfers. I think Tariq Black from Michigan is already on the starting lineup for them. So there's the problem at Texas will never be talent. It'll be that talent coming together and being coached up. And so far, it's been 50-50. Last year, a lot of misses. The year before, a lot of hits. So who the heck knows what we'll see from Texas? But I can understand the number 2 ranking this year. I just don't think that they should automatically be number 2 every year, and they are. But this year, I can actually understand it a little bit.
All right, and maybe part of that is because we don't know for sure what Oklahoma may be as far as elite. That they're not 1, they're 2. But Oklahoma State's got a lot back.
Well, yeah,
as far as skill position, I know for sure with and Sanders in another year.
I think
Tylan Wallace and then Hubbard.
Yeah, they got Hubbard, Wallace, Sanders, all those guys are back.
But you got to play a little defense.
You do have to play defense, but Oklahoma State's usually okay in that regard. I think what's really fascinating about the Big 12 this year is that there are some big storylines. Now, granted, the typical coaching hot seat talk, like, for example, if Tom Herman were to go out and have a disappointing year, then maybe you would hear a lot of buzz from big money donors after the year of disappointment and maybe like, hey, this is not going the direction we thought. I think that's all off the table for the foreseeable future, at least until next year. So,
I would think that you'd have to be really bad this year.
Yeah, and they're not going to be that bad.
For around the country,
right,
especially with buyouts the way they are, you'd have to be really bad for a board of regents and a administration to want to buy you out, given the economic shortfalls.
What did I just send you guys a little while ago? Iowa, I think it was. Yeah, Iowa announced 40 jobs lost today, so there's another round of casualties in college sports with Iowa making that announcement. So, yeah, everybody's hurting. But, storyline-wise, Oklahoma State, this is as good as it's going to get for them, right? You got Chuba Hubbard and Tylan Wallace coming back when no one thought those guys would be back this year, plus your returning quarterback. So Mike Gundy doesn't have a lot of excuses this year. Oklahoma State should be really good. Iowa State, Brock Purdy's a senior now. You've been 7 wins, 8 wins, 8 wins, 7 wins. At some point, you kind of got to get over that hump, and if you're ever poised to have a year where you do get over that hump. It's this year for Iowa State, and I would be awfully disappointed if I was them if it's another 7 or 8 wins. So, they got some things to live up to. Oklahoma, obviously, Spencer Rattler will be intriguing to watch, and if they can just keep things going that direction. In Texas, obviously looking for a bounce-back year. So, I could go on and on, but there's a lot of interesting storylines, and teams like Iowa State and Oklahoma State in particular better take advantage of the way the cards have been dealt, because they've got it set up really nicely for themselves.
Defensive Player of the Year, Joseph Osai, the linebacker from Texas. Offensive Player of the Year, Hubbard from Oklahoma State. Honestly, he should be stunned that it's not, for some reason, Ellinger, because it's Offensive Freshman of the Year, Spencer Rattler, Oklahoma. Still a freshman? I guess so.
Yeah, because he didn't play in more than 4 games
last year. Alfred Collins
year.
of Texas, a Defensive Freshman of the Year. Talon Wallace, Comeback Player of the Year. Best Offensive Transfer, Oklahoma wide receiver Theo Howard from UCLA. William Bradley King, Baylor. Arkansas State, Best Defensive Transfer. Coach of the Year, Dave Aranda.
Huh. It
says here that Texas' predicted finish is second, but then on top of that, coach on a hot seat, Tom Herman. I don't agree. I don't think he is. They would have to go 5, 6, and 4 or worse.
Right.
To me, for there even to be any kind of heat.
That's interesting on Dave Aranda, though.
Yeah.
I think I saw, I mentioned this yesterday, but a couple of media people during the conference call or after the conference call commented on how much they enjoyed listening to him. And, I think Baylor's got the opportunity to be a little bit of a sleeper. They're not going to be a total sleeper like they maybe were the last couple of years, because after last season, nobody's going to be sleeping on their capabilities. But, given all of the questions that are kind of swirling right now, they're in a good position to play spoiler. They're in a good position to finish a lot higher than they're being, pegged right now, I think.
Well, so I on this article, I sped read down a little bit, and it's kind of what I wrote about on the site this week about Charlie Brewer. That when you get down to the SMU section, it said that the best 3 quarterbacks in Texas are Sam Ehlinger, Kellen Mond, and Shane Buechele. And look, I could take exception with, look, you want to put Kellen Mond in that argument over Charlie Brewer. I'm sorry. One guy's won more games than the other one has.
You know what I think knocks Charlie that is totally unfair, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just kind of feel this way about him. Does he get knocked more because he's not an NFL guy?
I mentioned it in the column. Yeah, I think that's because he's not a – I don't think Kellen Mond necessarily is either.
I think he is.
I mean, maybe. But
he's got size, arm, all that.
Yeah, but his accuracy is not great. And
sure, but somebody will play with him and turn him into something.
But I think so. I think we're an NFL obsessed culture, and then again that causes Baylor to kind of fade into the background. And there are people who don't think about Charlie Brewer because they think about Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence and guys like that, big 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" guys, and then they'll catch Baylor and be like, "Hey, who's this quarterback at Baylor?" Yeah,
and it's always he's scrappy.
Yeah,
he is scrappy little quarterback.
That's what
for Baylor.
He's a scrapper.
You think Ellinger's a pro prospect?
No, I didn't mention his name.
I think he will be in the pros. I think he'll get drafted, but I don't think he's going to turn into anything. That's just my opinion.
He's got he's
okay.
What he does in college, and he throws the ball very well. He really does. There's times he's erratic, but he really 2 years ago. Remember, he had some great receivers.
He didn't throw an interception for like the entire year.
Yeah, and so, but as far as someone who's going to make it, but Charlie Brewer, you know what? He doesn't. He knows what everyone's saying, and it's not like he's like, okay, he just wins.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's not pretty, and it might be a game in which he fumbles a snap or he just wins. Even the game when they lost to Oklahoma at home and they blew the big lead, they had the big lead at halftime. You felt like he was going to take him down the field and at least tie the game. Mm-hmm. And it was shocking when he almost threw a pick, and then he did throw a pick. It was a great play by Oklahoma, but it was like, wow.
But if he doesn't throw that, that was just mind-boggling, because it's like you literally just did the exact same thing that almost got picked off, and then you got picked off. Like, that was pretty maddening. But was there any doubt that if he does not throw that pick, that he's marching them down and they're going to score?
Yeah.
I had no doubts.
Yeah, he probably hits Denzel Mims or somebody, and they win the damn game.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they have to go back and do it again. But, yeah, when they got the ball back and they got into at least Oklahoma territory where they weren't deep, They were like at, what, the 35 or so, 40?
Yeah, no, they had time and room.
Yeah,
And
I thought he was going to bring them back.
And I said in the pop quiz that Jason's published earlier today with all the staff that, it's just his I think I said for Charlie, it's just his it factor. I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was in line with that of like, hey, if he's got the ball in his hands with 2 minutes to go, I feel very confident he's going to make a play. And then if they don't win that game, I feel like next week they're going to win whatever game they're playing because that's just kind of his moxie and what have you. I think far too much stock is put into NFL draft potential. And, for that reason, I think he does get a little bit overlooked. But, there's no shame and there's nothing wrong with being just a really good college player who doesn't go play in the NFL or being a really good high school player who doesn't go and thrive in college. And I think Charlie Brewer is a legendary high school player and is a really, really good college football player. He just might not play in the NFL, and that's fine and should have no bearing on how we look at him. He's going to go down as
one of the best quarterbacks in Baylor history. He has another year, maybe two. That's the thing. By the way, from TJ, Tom Herman's not a good head coach. He was at Houston. But I don't like him at Texas. And TJ.
And TJ's a burnt orange dude.
Yes, he is. Now, let's get to, you brought this up, and I didn't get a chance to the pop quiz. Let's go from bottom to top.
Jason didn't get mine. I might have sent him a little late last night, but I sent him.
All right. The number one essential food item at a tailgate, Colt Barber says, I'm not eating at any tailgate before a Baylor game. I'll have something small before the game to hold me over. If the game is late, I'll eat an early breakfast, but rarely will eat much. Now, catch me after the game. It's a different story. Brian Etheridge, shocking. Beer, cold, refreshing, great tasting Three Nations Brewing beer.
See, I read food in particular, so my response was no beer, and then, food.
Grayson said, I guess beer isn't food, so breakfast tacos. Ashley mentioned the Milo part here. How about this? Good fajita setup, steak, chicken, guacamole, sausage, jambalaya. Jason King mentioned.
I haven't had fajitas in a really long time, and you just said that, and all of a sudden,
dirty rice and charl beans.
My whole mood changed. Just thinking about fajitas.
I love them.
Craig mentioned sausage links, and I just said, again, there's not a lot of tailgates to do this, but when he said that, Corey earlier from Milo. Chicken wings. I could eat chicken wings of any kind.
I said any kind of beef. Like, I think you need to have beef at a tailgate. Pick your way, of doing it. Chicken's all like anything, but when I think of it, I want to, maybe grab a hamburger, even if it's just that, or, brisket, whatever. That's dead cow.
So, Jared Butler, Maceo Teague, if they're 1-2 leading scorers for Baylor men's basketball, who's 3? Cole said JTT. Brian Etheridge, Tristan Clark, and he might be second. Grayson mentioned Adam Flagler, the transfer. Is that right?
Yeah.
Ashley mentioned Davion Mitchell. Jason King mentioned Flagler. Craig, you mentioned Tristan Clark.
I said Davion Mitchell.
And here's why I said Davion Mitchell. I texted one of the coaches, and they said his offensive game is much, much, much improved. And so I cheated because I was able to get impact from a coach.
Well, here's my reasoning is I said that I would love to go with Tristan Clark, but until we have a little bit more certainty about how healthy he really is, I can't go there. So if all things were even, I would go Tristan Clark. But if you look at the stats from last year, you look at who's now gone, who's back, Davion Mitchell would be your third leading scorer just based off of last year's stats, and he plays a ton of minutes. He never leaves the court. So I just think with another year under his belt that he just makes the most sense as that third guy. But if a JTT or a Flagler or somebody like that steps up, then that's great news for Baylor.
Cryer, who knows?
Cryer, yeah.
Colt Barber on nervous habits watching a game. I used to have one, but now I don't watch my teams much. Colt said, I'd rather watch a game in silence and with distractions. I would rather watch my teams by myself.
Me too.
Brian Etheridge, the adrenaline rush from coming of competition. Let's see. Grayson mentioned lucky shirts. Ashley mentioned, I don't watch key field goal attempts. I cannot handle the stress of being a fan for every other play. Jason King mentioned, I'm watching a Baylor game. I get irritated in a room if others are not fixated on the action like I am. Craig, you tap your foot.
I do. I tap my foot nervously.
I will say this. When I'm here, when I'm watching FSU alone, things will happen, and I'll go back 20 years and be like, we don't cover the damn tight end. We never have.
Yeah, I know.
And it has nothing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, though, I am very much in that camp of I want to watch my team by myself.
Yeah, I did, too. I don't want anyone talking. It's okay.
Do you get this where some people are trying to be friendly to you, and because they know it, and they'll ask you, hey, where are we watching the game? And I'll be like, listen, I like you. We're friends. But I don't know if you can handle what is going to be going on, and I would rather just watch it at my house. If you like to come over and root for Florida State and agree with everything I say,
I don't even want that. I don't even want that. One thing I admire the most about Charlie Brewer, Colt said that he lets his emotions flow during the course of an emotional game. Brian Etheridge, the chip on his shoulder, the size of Mount Everest. Grayson, his winning mentality. Chuck has been through ringer with close games in his career. Most times he's able to pull out the wins. We just mentioned that. Ashley Hodge, his competitiveness. Some guys will just do whatever it takes to win. He's one of them. Jason King, his demeanor, calm, cool, collected. Craig Menon, his mental toughness. Whether it's injuries, tough losses, or just bad showings, he seems to find a way to persevere and come back stronger the next time he does. And I mentioned that cold-blooded grin. He's underrated. As Paul wrote this week, he's underappreciated outside of weight.